This is the NCAA Division II playoffs, and this is CUTV Sports. Today's coverage pits the Fayettevill State University Broncos versus the California University of Pennsylvania Vulcans in first-round action. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josh Sheetchus. With me is Mike Ford. Mike, a team in Fayetteville State that is unfamiliar to the playoffs, only been there for the third time now in school history, versus the Vulcans, who have been here the last 3 years. California coming to today's game after a heartbreaking loss in the state game last week against Shippensburg.
Yeah, that loss was heartbreaking for them. It was a PSAC championship game for them. They lose 42-35 to Shippensburg. They were able to amass a little bit of a fourth quarter comeback. Josh Portis had over 300 yards in that game. That was his first 300-yard game of his career. 2 touchdowns, had 1 interception in that game. Again, California really had some troubles on defense in that game. They were able to, again, get that comeback, but I think today they kind of need to get that game out of their mind and step up in a new way. Fayetteville State, in their loss, or in their victory, 21-10 against Boise State, they had, again, an opposite of what California had. They were able to put some things together on offense and had, I think, 2 12-play drives in that game.
Yeah. One similarity between California and Fayetteville State is that all the points were really coming in the fourth quarter. Fayetteville State down 10-0 to Bowie State in the fourth quarter, would score 21 unanswered points in the fourth to win their conference championship game. Now we talk about the keys for California, Mike. First of all, they want to be the fourth quarter Vulcans like they were last week against Shippensburg. They want to be aware of the changing personnel of Fayetteville State, and they want to look for A.J. Jackson over the top. Let's go back and talk about the fourth quarter Vulcans, what Cal needs to do today to be successful.
Well, again, they need to play all 60 minutes of this football game, but like you said, the fourth quarter is going to be important, mainly because, again, last week they put everything together towards that fourth quarter. I think today, really, the first 3 quarters are going to be important, but that fourth quarter, to a team, I don't think that's as superior as them. They need to be able to hold that lead that I believe they'll have as a big margin, hold it together going into next week.
California is going to face a lot of changing personnel today. That's not something they're used to seeing in the PSAC. Rotating positions for Fayetteville State. A couple of quarterbacks, a couple of halfbacks, and a whole plethora of wide receivers that could give California issues.
Well, it's weird that Fayetteville State has had the success they've had at the quarterback position when you have 2 guys playing the same position. Running back, you've kind of seen a running back by committee approach in all of college football, but they have the speed on the outside of the wide receiver position. With the talent they have at the running back position, California has to be very mindful of the players that are going to be on the field, and of course at the quarterback position. When you have 2 different type of quarterbacks, Hostler and Williams, 2 guys that have different roles they play, very similar, you have to be very mindful of that position.
And one certain truth you can't overlook, it's height and size, and that's not something that Fayetteville State has in the defensive backfield. Not one starting cornerback is over 6 foot tall, and when you've got a guy 6'6" on the other side, you might have some problems. We're talking about A.J. Jackson.
A.J. Jackson, again, 6'6", 230 pounds. Again, one of his best routes is the slant route when he can body out someone, or that fade route. His size is going to be a huge option for Josh Portis today. And again, you talked about it, 5'11". They only have 1 quarterback, and he is a cornerback. He's 6 foot. He's a freshman. Who knows if he'll play a lot today? So, again, for California, getting that deep ball to A.J. Jackson might be a big key for them.
All right, flip the ball now. Let's look at the keys for Fayetteville State. The first thing they want to do is follow their leader, and that's their coach, Kenny Phillips. Next, they want to score quickly and often. And the last thing they want to do, gaudy. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But let's go back and talk about their coach, and they do want to follow their leader, Kenny Phillips.
Kenny Phillips, again, the winningest coach in this school's history. He's been one of those pioneers for this university, HBCU, that has had success now since he's been there. Again, they've garnered a lot of money at that university because of him, and he's been a great influence for them.
Yeah, and it's documented all season that he's been preaching to his team to stay in games, be in the game in the fourth quarter, and last week they finally came through on that philosophy, made that big fourth quarter comeback, and won the contest. Next for Fayetteville State, score quickly and often. They didn't score quickly last week. They were shut out through 3 quarters of play. Today against California, if they can post 30 points, it seems like that's the magic number for the Broncos.
As you pointed out, they're 31-4 in games that they're able to amass 30 points. They've done that 35 times. So for California, again, that offense is going to be putting up a lot of points, as we'd expect. The Fayetteville State, again, if they can get an early lead, if they can continue to pour on offense, they can stay in this game, again, getting into the fourth quarter, which is key in Coach Phillips' mind.
And lastly, Josh Portis, the quarterback for the California Vulcans, has been effective at times this year, but there's no mistaking that there has been some interceptions, there has been some bad throws, and a lot of those come over the middle. That could be an issue today when you talk about safety Jeff Gowdy, who could propose a problem for Josh Portis.
Yeah, number 13 for Fayetteville State is a big-time playmaker for them. Again, the 16 interceptions he's had throughout his career. For any player in any level of college football, that's very impressive. Number 13, you definitely need to have your eyes out for this guy. Not a very big guy, 5'11", 185 pounds, but he's a guy that's going to be around the football. Josh Portis definitely has to be very careful of him.
So this is the first round of the NCAA playoffs, and you look at the regional rankings. That's how they do things here in Division II. Teams 1 and 2 do get byes. That's West Liberty and Shippensburg. California is the top seed in the East region, Northeast region playing today. They are the 3 playing the 6 Fayettevill State, who, Mike, I'll let you explain it, gets in on earned access.
Well, again, they are the winners of the CIAA. And in that alone, they get into the playoffs. They were number 7 in the regional rankings. Number 6 was Bloomsburg. Bloomsburg, again, falling apart at the end of the season. But because, again, they were able to win their conference, and in this the region that we have, and all the regions over Division II, which I think is the best format, if you win your conference, you get into the playoffs.
I would have to agree with that. The other matchup today in the Northeast region is East Stroudsburg playing host to Edinburgh. All right, lastly, some individual efforts that are going to be key today in any playoff matchup, in any game. First of all, I'll start with mine, Mike. I'll give you, first of all, for Fayettevill State, I think you want to look out for Calvin Harris. 3 of the last 4 games, he's rushed for over 90 yards, and I don't think it's a secret that California has had some trouble stopping the run at times this year. To counter that, I say defensively, Dante Brown is the player to watch for California. 33 tackles in the last 3 games for Dante Brown, so he's going to want to be the ball hawk that keeps an eye on Calvin Harris. Mike, who are you looking out for?
Well, again, for California, I think one of the key phases for them today is going to be special teams, and I think a guy that's going to have to step up for them was Chet Cherry. Again, on kickoff returns, punt returns, and even when he gets an opportunity out there on offense, he's going to have to make big plays. If he can score a touchdown in all 3 of those phases, that would give California a big boost. And then for Fayettevill State, the quarterback position is so important. I want to give a nod to Tyler Hostler because he is going to be the offset guy. Again, Williams for them is usually the playmaking quarterback to make plays downfield. Hostler, again, is going to come in. He's going to have his role. He's pretty much the starter for them. So I'm going to go with him, and I think he's going to be a big part of the offense today.
All right, well, if you remember California's first playoff game last year, it was 10 degrees and snowing. Quite the opposite today. 50 degrees, beautiful weather for a playoff football game. We'll kick that game off next, right here on CUTV.
I present to you Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
I'm Jeremy Call, and I made suction tires. Wait, what? Wait. I used a rivet gun to connect the suction cups, and then I just connected it to the tire. I got the idea from an octopus because of the suction cups, and I don't know.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your invention at inventnow.org.
It was not. It was like...
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You are watching CUTV, California University Television.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports coverage of the NCAA Division II first round of the playoffs. Fayettevill State Broncos visiting the California University of Pennsylvania Vulcans. Josh Eachus and Mike Ford bringing you the action today. We're at Hepner Bailey Field at ADAMSO Stadium in California, Pennsylvania. And Mike, these two teams have never faced off in their history before, so to figure out maybe how these two teams will match up, we turn to the numbers to give us an idea of well, what California is looking at in the Fayettevill State Broncos today.
And we'll defer to...
Well, if you look at the tail of the tape here, again, California, 34.4 points per game to the 30.2 for Fayettevill State, California, #1 in the PSAC in points per game on offense. Rushing yards, you see California, 171.8. That's around 4th in the PSAC, 153 for Fayetteville State. Again, passing yards for California, big number for them. Over 2,400 yards for them, 1,800 collectively, again, between the two quarterbacks for Fayetteville State. Total offense, you can see their big numbers. Again, time of possession only matters if you have the lead, and again, penalty yards. Fayetteville State, 79.6 yards from penalty. California, again, this year they've been much more disciplined in that category. 47.4 yards per penalty play.
A little more information about Fayetteville State. Now, this is only the 3rd time that they've participated in an NCAA Division II playoff game. Their last 2 were in 2002 as well as 2003. In both instances, they lost to Carson Newman, and both of those games happened in Jefferson City, Tennessee. Some information about them on your screen. Enrollment a little less than California with 5,000. You will see them wearing the white and blue today, and of course they're from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Brought, I'd say maybe 50 people to the game today from North Carolina, or perhaps parents that live closer. They do have some students from New York on their roster, a couple from Maryland and Virginia as well. Some more information about Fayetteville State in terms of playing against teams in Pennsylvania. If you're looking for some common opponents, they're actually 2-1 all time against teams in Pennsylvania. Their only loss was in 1988. It was a 63-21 loss to the Westchester Golden Rams. The last time they won in Pennsylvania was 63-0 over Lincoln on September 13th of 08. Lincoln, though, is a Division III team, I believe, so that a tune-up game for the Fayetteville State Broncos. And Fayetteville State has not had a good go of it playing on the road. Since 2000, they are 9-11 when playing on the road, not in the state of North Carolina. So there's just some trends to look out for today as Fayetteville takes on the California Vulcans. And Mike, what are you expecting out of Fayetteville State?
Well, I'm again expecting a team that's going to try and control the pace a little bit. I mean, again, we talked about them wanting to get a quick start. So this first drive, this opening drive is important for them. But again, they got to let the game come to them, take what this team gives them. They should fare pretty well.
Kickoff is underway, and it's going to be fielded by Fayetteville State at the 2-yard line. A nice deep kick. And that one is taken to the near sideline, and player is tripped up. That is Jeffrey Brooks, just beyond the 20. So that's where Fayetteville's offense comes onto the field. They do run 2 quarterbacks. Mike, you commented on that earlier. We're going to look at the combination of Tyler Hosler and Ben Williams. Who's going to get more action today?
Well, I think Tyler Hosler should get more action. You talked about him. He's a former player of the year for this team, and again, he's a guy that has more control of the offense. But again, Ben Williams has his role. He's a guy who's pretty athletic. He'll come in situational downs, and he's also, again, the leading passer for them. So he's a very athletic quarterback.
As you saw the California defense there, Willie Walker highlighted the Defensive Player of the Year in the PSAC, Willie Walker. And don't let that overshadow the Freshman of the Year, Rontez Miles, getting those honors for California. So a defense for this year, and then perhaps a defense for the future. It might be led by Rontez Miles one day. And then there is the starting offense for Fayetteville State. We alluded to Tyler Hosler a few seconds ago. Richard Menlin listed as the starting tailback, but he and Kelvin Harris should split most of the carries, and they do run 3 wide, and all of those guys should get an equal amount of looks. There's Ben Williams rolling out and tossing it downfield, and that one is broke on and intercepted. California coming away with the ball, and I believe that's Terrence Johnson will be trotting to the sidelines, having gotten his defense off the field after only 2 plays.
You can see right there, Terrence Johnson does an amazing job of cutting off that route. You can see when you roll out a quarterback, like you shorten the field of vision for him. Again, Williams isn't there really much a natural quarterback. He's very athletic, so when he leaves that pocket, again, the field of vision is shorter for him. Terrence Johnson does a great job of jumping that hook route, pretty much runs a better route than a receiver does on that one, gets the interception. Look at the field position. Again, you talk about California's starting field position each game. It's tremendous.
California's starting offense led to the field by Josh Portis, and the tailback is Wendell Brown. He gets a give here, shutters off a tackle in the backfield, and ends up picking up 4 yards on the opening carry of the game for the Vulcans. Offensively, California comes onto this field known as a passing team, but Wendell Brown sure to figure into today's action. Fayetteville's defense got to feel like they're on their heels now, Mike. Not how they wanted to see the field, having watched their offense turn it over.
Yeah, they don't want to start off backpedaling, and that's not something they want to do. They want to start off on a roll, and they definitely hurt themselves with that opening turnover. They can't get too under themselves, though. They have to stay poised in this type of matchup.
Marcus Esquivel leading all Fayetteville State tacklers with 8.8 per game. Saw him highlighted when looking at the Fayetteville defense. Portis going to scramble here on 2nd down and 6, and he will pick up the 1st down and step out of bounds at the Fayetteville 32-yard line. And in recent weeks, Mike, I think Josh has been doing a lot more running than what we've seen out of him in the early part of the season, and I think that's a good thing for California.
I do. I would believe that when you can get him moving out of the pocket, you get him to come off and have that extra threat. Again, he's a dual threat quarterback, but he really is a pocket presence. So when you can have him leave the pocket, you're going to have an extra man have to come in and play the run as opposed to having an extra defensive back, 5 guys playing in the back playing the routes that the receivers can run back there.
Cal's got an I formation. Twins receivers to the left of Portis. A little play fake there, and he'll look left. Jackson wide open. Gaining 9 yards on the play there. Jackson was given a huge cushion by the safety, Adrian Horton there. Mike, we talked about how these defensive backs may have to give Jackson his space because they are undersized.
You're absolutely right, but one thing you noticed there is they had Terrence Moore in the slot. He ran a 9 route down the field, a basic streak, and pretty much he's getting a lot of respect by these defensive backs. So they had to back off a little bit to really respect the speed of Terrence Moore, and A.J. Jackson had a lot of room to get that catch.
Hand off to Wendell Brown. Pretty good hole up the middle there. Wendell carries for the 1st. Gets the Vulcans now down to the 16-yard line. So Brown is going to gain about 9 on that play. Good blocking by the offensive line. The interior opening up a nice hole for Wendell.
Well, one thing I'm already noticing right now is how quick their linebackers are in getting to the play. And you talked about it. Esquivel getting in on a play, and also Horton. Adrian Horton is a guy, again, that plays pretty much very quick to the snap, just like Esquivel. So they have linebackers, again, that can move. Not really undersized, pretty medium in that regard, but again, they move very well, especially their outside linebackers.
It's 1st and 10 for the Vulcans. Josh Portis is going to look to the end zone. Steps up into the pocket as it breaks down. He takes off now and is wrapped up from behind just inside the 10. In on the tackle. Looked to be number 95, Danielle Harlan, the senior defensive end from Phoenix, Arizona. And it'll be 2nd and 4 for California.
So you can see the pocket breaks down early. Does a nice little stutter step, then cuts back inside. Something that I think they're trying to coach him up a little bit, not leave the outside, again, taking too much time out of that. Just go straight up field. He had an opening and picking up yardage on that play. Josh Portis, again, such an athletic guy. He can outrun any defensive player that Fayetteville State will have on the field.
High backfield for the Vulcans. Another handoff to Wendell Brown. Brown carries it into the pile there. And, you know, Mike, I thought he had a lot of space to his left. Not sure if he didn't think it was going to open up or what, but I'm nearly certain that could have got into the end zone.
I'm looking at this play, and I see the same thing. You can see the cutback lane on the left side again. Dan Jordan does a nice job of hooking his player, hooking him off. He could have cut back and had a nice counter play with some errors. But, again, the left side is going to be crucial for California. The left side, those are going to be big holes for Freddie Bacco and for Wendell Brown to run on that offset side.
Yeah, that was Joseph Brown, the man that made the tackle that was filling that gap that Wendell elected not to cut back into. Here comes a blitz from Fayetteville. They go to Brown. He goes off tackle, jugging towards the end zone, and he is knocked out of bounds by Gerard Atkinson at the 1. So California will now have a 1st and goal.
And Wendell Brown here, you can see, again, going off tackle, something that he's pretty much best at. When he can get to the outside, showing a lot of lateral quickness, and getting to the pylon is very important. But again, when you're able in that situation to get the 1st down, that's definitely what you want to do. And I'm surprised, again, the Wendell Brown's getting the touches in the goal line. Usually that's Freddie Bacco territory, but again, these guys are pretty dynamic in both regards, can play any portion of the field.
Yeah, Brown certainly does have great speed to get to the corner. And that time they hand it off to him, and he is stuffed. Nice blitz from Fayetteville State, and that is Marcus Esquivel stepping into the backfield, blitzes the gap, and makes the tackle on Wendell Brown. It's going to be a loss of 4 on the play, and Esquivel shows why he's one of this team's leading tacklers.
He got there very quickly, and he filled the thing up very nice. When you're down that goal line, everything is smushed in a little bit more, so everybody has to do their part. The down lineman for them inside, the interior line got lower than the offensive lineman of California, and you could see Esquivel got in there in a hurry and laid a smacking on Wendell Brown.
Yeah, Jordan Picarillo and Scheuer up the middle for California, as well as Brandon Anderson, the fullback, had no chance of picking up the blitz there, and California's going to look outside now. They'll toss. Brown looking for the end zone, and he is very close. We'll see if he broke the plane or not. The official on the far side comes in and says he was just shy, so it's going to be 3rd and goal from about the half-yard line. You know what? That's still a good play defensively by the Broncos, Mike, to keep Wendell Brown out.
Well, that tall sweep works for them. You can see Dan Jordan pulling on the outside. Doing a good job of following his blockers, but again, we talked about the lateral movement and shading off their blockers. That's very something they do. Esquivel did it on the previous play. On that play, I think that was Esquivel again, so he gets in on that play. So already you could see why he's a guy that's a leading tackler. He's always around the nose of the football.
Yeah, Cunningham and Esquivel make the stops, and Cunningham did a good job of making sure Wendell Brown was pulled backwards so that he didn't get into the end zone. Handoff to the up man, Sean Johnson keeps the legs moving and goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Vulcans. Sean Johnson scores his 2nd touchdown in 3 weeks for California. You love giving it to the fullback on the goal line, Mike.
Sean Johnson, again, is a big guy. On that 2nd effort is pretty much what got him in. You can see here initially could have been stopped there, but he continues to turn his legs, gets that extra yardage, gets the first drive touchdown for California Vulcans here.
That's some real power there. You're talking about keeping those legs moving. You're pushing 300-pound bodies in front of you, and Sean Johnson is able to do that. Why not give it to him when you're that close? Extra point by Hagerman is up and good, and California leads 7-0. We'll be back with another Fayettevill State possession after this on CUTV.
There's a university where success is more than a paper chase for a degree. One that builds the kind of character that can help you do the right thing as well as the smart thing. Where core values of integrity, civility, and responsibility are not just taught, but integrated into your day-to-day experience. California University of Pennsylvania.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
After a Terrence Johnson interception, California will go 45 yards in 5 minutes and 38 seconds, culminating in a 1-yard Sean Johnson touchdown run. They lead this game 7-0 now over the visiting Fayetteville State University Broncos. California going to give the ball back to Fayetteville State here, who just, Mike, don't want to turn it over again. You got to get some momentum going in the right direction. We'll see if they're able to do that. And it's going to be returned by Jeffrey Brooks. A flag way back on the offensive side of the return. Originally, the ball was brought out to the 37. Not sure if this is going to stand, though. Remember, this is one of the most penalized teams in the CIAA. And that's going to be an illegal block in the back. This is the call from official Kenny Johnson.
So this is the interception. You see him rolling out. Again, the field of vision is cut off for him. Great pick by Terrence Johnson on this play. And again, getting that ball in short yardage is key. On a 3rd and goal handoff to Sean Johnson inside, getting that second effort to get that burst and get that first that touchdown for California.
See what Fayetteville State elects to go with here. Mike, is this a time for a change? As Ben Williams threw the pick, obviously you don't lose faith in your quarterback that quickly, but now maybe bring Hosler in, see what he can do?
I think so, and I think eventually they will. But again, you're right with that first argument. You're going to keep Ben Williams in there. You want to stick with the game plan.
Handoff goes up the middle, and Willie Walker makes the tackle from behind for California. Matter of fact, I think that was actually a 90 and not a 96. That had been Marcus Cook making the play for California. And that is a gain of 2 for Fayetteville State.
And the best part of Well, one of the things that doesn't hurt you too much is you can still go with your scripted plays that you had going for you if you have an early turnover. So now they still have plays that they know they're going to go to. And this drive right here, they get a second chance to execute them.
And Ben Williams is going to be passing, and not for long. He's going to be sacked. Marcus Cook, Brandon Gordon in the backfield for California, making the sack. It's going to be 3rd down and 11 for the Vulcans, and here's a good overhead look at that play.
You can see Marcus Cook there continue working the outside, and on the inside, he had a player come in on a rush. Terrence Hemsley also gets in on that play. So the blitz on the right side working for them, or overloading on that side. Something that's worked for them. So 2nd and 3rd down blitz is definitely working pass rush situation for Cal.
Draw play right there, and you know what? California wasn't too keen on it because they had so far to go. Richard Medlin is not going to pick up the 1st down. He is close, however. It will be 4th down and, well, 1 after the gain of 10 from Medlin. So California is going to have to be wary of that in the future, but Fayetteville State will punt for now.
And I don't want to speculate too much, but I don't know how much they're willing to put on him in that situation right there. So Ben Williams just hands the ball off in a delayed handoff. You can't expect him to be the drop back guy again. They're going to switch things up. They don't want to be too obvious, so they're going to try and deter California defense a little bit, but 3 and outs aren't the way to do it.
And this one is going to be punted away, and Josh Gummert will just let it roll. Austin Turner punting it for Fayetteville State, and it takes a pretty friendly bounce for the Broncos inside the Cal 40 now to be spotted at the 39. The Vulcans offense comes onto the field, Mike, that first drive, pretty methodical, but at the same time, I'd say reasonably laid back. They didn't really go too deep into the playbook, just some standard off tackle and dive plays, and in terms of throws, I think we saw a couple quick hooks, and nothing fancy, not even much play action. Looking when California has the ball, I think the thing that jumps out at me is that their passing offense is ranked 4th compared to a 3rd-ranked passing defense. Fayetteville State, remember that's in the CIAA.
Right, and the stat you talked about is 29 passing touchdowns for California to the 11 for Fayetteville State. That says a lot.
Wendell Brown has a nice hole through the 4 gap, and he'll carry it for upwards of 15 yards, but a flag comes in on the near side of the field, and this one may not stand. It is indeed holding against the Vulcans.
You can see on that right side, it was definitely a big hole for them. Wasn't necessarily holding on the outside. He had a big gap again. Usually when it's like that, so a play breaks down like that, it's holding. And one thing they haven't had, Josh, is penalties that really would kill their drives. They'll have big plays and get those penalties. Unlike last year when it seemed like any big play they had on offense, they would get a big penalty. They were able to recuperate after that. But this year it doesn't seem like they had those drive-killing penalties in crucial situations.
In California, you'd say maybe they'd have a few more losses on the card than the 3 if they had as many penalties as they did last year. Portis into the shotgun for the first time in this game. Terrence Moore comes into the motion on the far side of the field now. He'll be in the slot, and they set up a screen. This one delivered to A.J. Jackson. Moore brought into motion to be used as a blocker, and it works out reasonably well for California. They advance the ball 9 yards.
For a guy that's 6'6" and the size of A.J. Jackson in the frame, you wouldn't expect his run after the catch to be the way it is. He's very good at yakking. I think one of the keys to that is he's able to get lower than one of the smaller guys, which is crucial. I mean, he was able to distort his body in positions where you wouldn't expect it. He can catch the low balls, the high balls. Very acrobatic guy, and I think that's key if you're going to have a guy that's going to be a complete receiver, and plus have an amazing skill set and be that big.
Wendell Brown, another give now. This one stays between the tackles. Brown makes a cut, and in the end, that's going to end up costing him a gain of 1 or 2, perhaps. And Jeremy Cunningham makes another tackle for Fayetteville.
You can see there the offensive line is shading to the left. You have one guy coming out, pulling to the right side. Too many defensive players for one less blocker, so you're asking Wendell Brown to make one guy miss. He's unable to do it in the backfield, and it takes a little bit of a loss for California.
Yeah, Mike, one of the things you and I were discussing during the last commercial break was that one thing the Vulcans were keying on this Fayetteville team was team speed, and Cunningham certainly seemed to use that there. That was an open field tackling move.
They have the linebackers with the speed. Again, very aggressive linebackers. They play their linebackers aggressively. You can see sometimes they'll even have their guy play to the outside. I think something that could work for that if California can move their tight ends to the outside a little bit. and had that speed work the inside, it could work against Fayettevill State in a little bit.
4:39 remaining in the first quarter. California leading 7-0. California wins the PSAC West this season. They top it at 7-0, go undefeated in the conference, and that was an unprecedented 4th straight conference title for California, at least a share of the conference title. Only they and the IUP Crimson Hawks can stake that claim. Matter of fact, that's incorrect. It's been 5 straight, not 4 straight for California, with at least a share. Clarion, a surprise not getting into the playoffs. Edinburgh gets in instead of the Golden Eagles. Mike, do you feel that Clarion was more deserving?
I thought Clarion would get in with the losses that we had seen between Bentley and all those other teams. I thought they would get that 5th seed. But you just said it. I believe East Stroudsburg got that in. It's pretty interesting to see them get in also. But I expected Clarion to get in, and they didn't. Again, I think if they would have gotten in, they would have been able to make a lot of noise. They had possibly the most talented player on their team, Alfonso Huggard, in the conference. So very excitable players they have, and I think they could very well be back next year.
I think it goes to show how competitive they were. As you said, most competitive player. I was thinking Jaquez Robinson. You say Alfonso Huggard. They're 2 great playmakers for Clarion. Portis going to take the snap, going to look downfield now. Has Chedrick Cherry, and he just overthrows him. Coverage on the play by number 9, Gregory Somerville, the senior corner out of Clayton, North Carolina. Cherry, more the speed receivers, Mike, doesn't work out there. I think Portis had some trouble keeping those deep balls under control last week, which he had been so good at all year.
You're right, and that ball is it's a hard throw right there. Chedrick Cherry gets a clean release on the outside, but great coverage there by the defensive back, shading him to the outside, not giving him any room to really get any vision towards the football. So underruns it a little bit, and it'll be a good defensive stand for Fayettevill State.
Fiorenza's punt is a good one, and it's down at the 3-yard line. A net punt of about 47 yards for Derek Fiorenza. And good starting field possession for the California defense, and Fayettevill State has just had their backs to the wall all game, and that will continue to be the case. Fayetteville State, I should say, this is the 3rd NCAA playoff appearance for Fayetteville State overall, 3rd straight for the Vulcans. First ever meeting between these 2 teams. Cal's 9-2 in November since 2005. Their only losses coming in those, one was in a regional final, the other to Shippensburg just last week.
Yeah, and then California again, that tough log at Shippensburg. This is a game that's perfect for them to bounce back, ideally.
Williams is going to roll out and be forced to send this one away. Thomas Malaba was down, but pressure was coming in from Dante Brown on the far side. Easily could have been a safety. Heads up play by Williams to get this one to the sidelines.
You can see again leaving the pocket, rolling out, and this gives us a comfort zone for Benjamin Williams. He's able to escape, use his natural athletic ability to make the most of a play. However, for a quarterback to get comfortable, he needs to have easier throws, 3-step drops. Get him out of the end zone first, and then have him roll out like that. That's a very dangerous play on your first play with this kind of backed up space you have.
I formation, another delayed give there. This one goes to Richard Medlin. And Medlin is tackled by Josh Menendez at the 11-yard line, gain of 5 on the play.
And you talked about the running backs that Medlin is kind of, him and Harris are kind of different players a little bit. And you have Harris, who I originally thought you would get a lot of, see the bulk of the carries. He is their senior running back, has had 90 or more rushing in 3 of his last 4 games. So he's a guy that touches the ball a lot and very explosive running back.
3rd down and 5, and all kinds of movement down on the line. It was Steve Santia that encroached on the Fayetteville line, but I believe they jumped first, and that, if it is the case, would be the left guard, Paul Murphy. They're going to call the encroachment. It's on California, and that will depend on a measurement for a first down.
I think they could be very close to it. You can see where they're going to put these markers, but they're probably going to call for a measurement. If you looked at this pre-snap, you could see that they might have been marked off, but that's definitely tough to call. I didn't see much flinching from the offensive line there, so encroachment on California, and that will give them a first down.
Steve Santia, one of those guys that rotates in on the defensive line for California. He is not in on this play now. Pitch back to Medlin, looking towards the sideline and running out of space as Dante Brown. Mike, you don't pick up 33 tackles in 3 games by being slow. Dante Brown is amazing in pursuit. His lateral movement, the way he reads the blocking schemes for the offense is really something spectacular.
I think the schemes themselves just set up so perfectly for the inside linebackers. You could see there, Eric Harris comes up in the box, takes up a blocker. I believe that was Thomas Mulava comes up, fills up a blocker. And then you have open space for the linebackers to come in and fill up those gaps and get those tackles. It's perfect setup for a 3-4 scheme.
And Dante Brown, again, going to lead the charge. He and Brett Diamond make the stop in the backfield on Richard Medlin. He loses about a half-yard. Fayetteville State now will face a 3rd down and 7 from their own 18. But here's another look at it. Mike, you were just alluding to those inside linebackers. Just kind of stay at home there, watch the hole open, and close them.
Right, and it's the accountability. You see the offensive line, the center, and the right guard for Fayetteville's offensive line get a good push when I believe that was Steve Sanchez and pushing them up. But again, you have those linebackers. They have the space to come up and attack the ball very quickly.
Williams is going to roll to his right, as he has done for much of this game. Malaba trying to bring Williams down. He's forced to throw another one away. It's incomplete over on the Fayetteville sideline. But Thomas Malaba is a guy that you don't think of as being outstanding in pursuit, but even he had the speed to stay with Ben Williams.
You can see it here, having one blocker pretty much, again, moving towards the rush. I think California kind of picked that up, and they could send some blitzers a little bit. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a long day for them passing the football. And again, we're going back to this defensive scheme. You have so many versatile players. I look back at that 07 team, and I had a couple of guys that were versatile. Mainly Gary Butler was probably the most versatile player on defensive player they had. But on this team right now, you have so many guys that are interchangeable. I think this is a very scary defense, and they're young, so they're going to be better and moving forward.
This play is blown dead. And it's false start on Fayetteville, going to cost them 5 yards. Gives Austin Turner even less room to work with. And sets up what could be an outstanding return opportunity for Josh Gumbert if he's able to get under the ball.
And Josh Gumbert's a guy in punt returning that's been a little bit better in the past couple of games. He had a little bit of a feel for the dropsies and not fielding the ball very well, but he's handled himself very well.
I think California got a piece of that punt. It only goes about 25 yards downfield. And when this thing stops rolling, it's going to be on the, I was proven wrong. I was going to say the Fayetteville side of the 50. It's right at midfield. But California got a piece of that. 3 guys were into that backfield making the leap, trying to block the punt. And Coach Luckhart looks on. He's got to be happy what he's seen out of his team so far. A dominant defensive performance. And there you see John Luckhart with that prestigious record he has set here at California University of Pennsylvania. Actually is in the top 20 all-time winningest coaches at any level in college football.
It's amazing the success he's had with his players and been able to do it for a long time. And again, you talk about a week in and week out with this football team. It starts with the coaching staff, and obviously it starts with Coach Luckhart.
Freddie Bacco getting in on the action. He'll take a pitch. And he is brought down at the line of scrimmage by Gerard Atkinson, the senior linebacker from Yonkers, New York. And that is back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all it'll be.
Freddie Bacco had an amazing run last week that'll go unmentioned a little bit because it was a loss, and it was kind of look past it a little bit. But he had a run on the far sideline, Josh, in that Shippensburg game. It was as good of a run I've seen in a while, and very determined, broke about 3 tackles on his way to a touchdown.
Portis, play fake. He's going to look over the middle to Jackson. Beautiful route, beautiful pass, and a beautiful first down if you're a Vulcans fan. 15-yard gain on the play. Tackle is made by Marcus Esquivel, and that was just because he dropped back in his zone, was able to bring Jackson down, but Jackson burnt the corner there. A little bit of a seam route, and then Jackson steps into open space and makes the easy catch.
And I think AJ has kind of gotten his everything putting together a little bit on the route tree, trying to learn everything and working from all positions. And I think he's a guy, again, you can put him in positions against the smaller cornerbacks, and he'll be a very dangerous threat.
Portis is going to look his way again into the end zone for A.J. Jackson. Real nice adjustment. Jackson not able to bring it in. Give the defensive back some credit there. On the coverage was Somerville, I believe. Jackson had that ball in his hands, but Somerville may have gotten a piece of it.
And Somerville, out of 5'11", defensive back, again, it's not always about size. Sometimes it's about position. And he comes in with his left hand, able to bat down the football. And that's just a great defensive play there, it looks like. on that one. And you got to step up in big plays like that. One-on-one, mano-a-mano, he makes the play.
Yeah, Jackson ran a nice route. The ball wasn't necessarily on target, but Jackson made the adjustment to get there. Couldn't quite bring it in. It'll be 2nd and 10, and Portis is in the shotgun. Looking left again. Another shot down the sideline. Jackson makes the adjustment, the grab here, and it steps out of bounds at the 6. A.J. Jackson, for having, like you said earlier, the athleticism that he has in a 6'6" frame is amazing. How he makes the adjustment to make this catch is beyond me. I couldn't even dream of doing something like this.
You can see, again, making the adjustments. Everything was perfect in that right there. The protection was perfect. They sent 6 guys. California left 5 back to block, but everybody was accounted for. Josh Portis putting it, underthrown it a little bit, so A.J. Jackson could make the adjustment on the football. And, again, I don't know how many quarterbacks you'll see that'll make that throw and trust their receivers like that. But, again, when you have an A.J. Jackson like that, Josh Portis is more than willing to throw it up and let him make a play.
Receivers stacked to the weak side of the field here. Portis going to look in that direction for Jackson into the end zone. Touchdown, Vulcans. A.J. Jackson's 24th career touchdown as a Vulcan, now with the all-time mark by a margin of 2. And with 6 seconds left in the first quarter, California has a 13-0 lead, pending the extra point from Kevin Hagerman.
The look-off by Josh Portis was perfect. The route ran by A.J. Jackson was even better. Stop and go slant there. Perfect setup for the red zone. Again, using those slants, using that big frame to get that touchdown for them. They're working it already.
Hagerman's PAT up and good. It's a 14-0 lead now for the Vulcans. A.J. Jackson on the 5-yard pass. Jackson's starting to put up some good numbers today already. 5 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. He's the only receiver that Josh Portis has found in this game.
Only guy that's touched the football. You can see, again, look at this play. Look at the protection he has. Josh Portis sees a little bit of one-on-one coverage. Again, this very stingy safety they have back there. So he peels off on that play, but gets there a little late, underthrow a little bit, but it was perfect for A.J. Jackson to make the adjustment. That set up that play.
Here's the touchdown play. Mike, you mentioned the route that A.J. Jackson runs here. It's a thing of beauty. It's a little stop slant route, and that's perfect against the zone Fayettevill was running because all he had to do was stop in one of the gaps in that zone, and Portis finds him for the touchdown. And you have to give Terrence Moore a little credit there on that corner route he ran, picks one of the defenders and sends somebody deep, allowing Jackson to have that space underneath.
It seems like any play underneath you'll have A.J. Jackson. It's because Terrence Moore, somewhere on the field, is peeling off a double coverage because of the speed. You have to respect him. Teams are definitely not going to let a guy that's going to hurt you for a 50-yard bomb or a big play like that over an 8-yard hitch or an 8-yard slant like that. So they're definitely going to respect the speed of Terrence Moore, and it's going to definitely counter A.J. Jackson. And the best thing about that for Terrence Moore, you won't have the big numbers all the time, but you'll get noticed because of that and that selfish play. That's an even bigger part of football than the catches and touchdowns.
And it's fielded by Jeffrey Brooks at the 4-yard line. Crosses the 20, spins off one tackler, but not the second. It was Cody Wilson making the tackle for California. And that concludes the first quarter of play here in NCAA Division II first-round action between the Vulcans and the Broncos. Cal U leading 14-0 over Fayetteville State. We'll be back with the second quarter here on CUTV.
Want the latest information regarding the Vulcan football team? Then check out the Coaches Show, where you'll get it straight from the authorities.
We still have everything in front of us if we can do the things we're capable of doing.
Because we have expectations, and we'd like to shut everybody out.
I feel like this was the first week that we actually came together and ran on all cylinders.
We're awful excited about beating 2 nationally ranked teams.
Vulcans Football 2009, Tuesdays through Fridays, only on CUTV.
Oh, yeah, baby! 3-5 on the offense.
And welcome back to CUTV Sports coverage of NCAA Division II playoffs. It's the first round, and the Vulcans lead the Fayetteville State Broncos 14-0 here at Hefner Bailey Field at ADAMSO Stadium. A 5-yard touchdown reception by A.J. Jackson has given California their second score in the 2-score lead they have over Fayetteville State. And we're set for the first play here of the second quarter. Some confusion by Fayetteville State. As they're in the shotgun formation, it's Medlin to the left of Williams causing the confusion. Plenty of time on the play clock, and it looks like Williams has gotten things under control. He would like to see some control from his offensive line, have some protection. Design keeper here, a quarterback option. He'll keep it and run back to the line of scrimmage. California sniffed that play out in a hurry. Very poor sell by Richard Medlin there on the QB option.
Yeah, you definitely got to be a little bit more aggressive on that one, and really no one's buying that fake at all. So play calling and execution have to be together, and execution very poor on that one.
Quick huddle now, and Ben Williams will stay in the shotgun, send Medlin to his left again. 2 receivers on the near side of the field. Williams takes the snap and has some time. Finally will throw, and this one is complete to Sidney McCletty, the sophomore wideout. Coverage there by Eric Harris. He thought he was going to break on the ball, so did I, Mike, but that one floated a little longer than anyone expected into the arms of McCletty.
Yeah, he definitely read it right. He just didn't get to the football the way he should have. And on that play, you're getting a little lucky there. And again, the no huddle, I like this approach, switch things up a little bit and try and get in a rhythm and letting him do things on his own. And Benjamin Williams, so far, they moved the ball nicely on a couple of plays here.
Williams with the option pitch right there. That one goes to Medlin, and California, again, very keen on the play. Brandon Livesey steps up from the linebacker position to make the tackle. And that is a no-gainer on that one. Williams, well, he got rid of that ball in a hurry. Again, I think it goes back to execution, Mike. It's not really how you run the option ideally. It more or less was just a pitch.
Yeah, right there. He saw Marcus Cook in his face immediately, and he had to get that ball out of his hands. But again, that's not how you run the option. You got to be a little more know-with-all about where you are at the field, and they lost yardage. Probably didn't need to on that play.
Minute and a half gone in the second quarter, and it's 2nd and 11. Ben Williams flushed from the pocket again, has some space, and he's going to keep it and take off. Dante Brown trips him up on the sideline. Williams gains 1, so it'll be a 3rd down and 10 for Fayetteville State. He had to run there. Nothing was open downfield, and the pocket collapsed, giving him some space towards the far sideline.
And again, you can see the speed he has at the quarterback position. But interesting for me is, again, you talked about it, Dante Brown, the lateral speed. He's playing man-to-man. Again, has the know-how to know the quarterback is a threat in running the football. He converges immediately, and he takes an angle that has Ben Williams having to go out of bounds.
Snap from the shotgun. It's a play fake. Williams really looked nervous in the pocket there. Triple pumped. And Thomas Malaba makes the sack. So California's going to send Fayetteville State off the field after 3 straight yet again. Mike, double clutching, triple clutching right there, and Williams just needs to get rid of that ball.
Get the ball out of your hands. I mean, they're not sending the blitz. They have 3 guys coming on your pass rush. You got to get the ball out of your hands. Unable to do that, and I just think he's not comfortable right now. So California, you got to give credit to California Vulcans right now, doing everything to confuse them, but it doesn't seem like they're complicating things too much on their defensive side of the football. So you got to look to Fayettevill State.
Turner to punt. Gumbert to field it, and the punt bounces out of bounds inside the Cal 40. Back to that play, Mike. Williams maybe just a little gun shy after Terrence Johnson intercepted the only pass that did get downfield. And we'll have to see what happens with Williams in terms of the rest of this game. California is ranked number 22 in the country right now. They are topped in this region by Charleston, Shippensburg, and West Liberty. Charleston doesn't even make the playoffs, but are ranked ahead of California. Shippensburg, we saw them last week. They're a good football team.
They're a very good football team. They have competitive players at all positions. Again, you want to talk about a team with speed. Shippensburg showed it at all the skill positions. They have speed everywhere.
Pitch back to Freddie Bacco, and he cuts it back to the near side of the field. Ends up being a pretty solid run. The tackle made by Joshua Wilkins, a freshman corner from Rivera Beach, Florida. And Bacco gains 7. It'll be 2nd and 3 for the Vulcans. We'll talk about it much more later on, Mike. But Cal Ship perhaps on another collision course for next week. In fact, if California does win, that is the matchup, the Vulcans and the Red Raiders. And again, we will talk much more about those 2 teams, last week's matchup and a potential matchup next week later on. I formation for California. Handoff to Freddie Bacco. And he takes a counter give to the outside and ends up picking up enough yardage for the first down. So Freddie Bacco in relief of Wendell Brown has looked good today. And those two backs coming into the season, Mike thought complemented each other perfectly, but I wouldn't say that the running game is gelled like we've seen in the past with Dane Williams and Brandon Lombardi.
I think Dane Williams and Brandon Lombardi complemented each other until Dane Williams kind of transformed himself into more of a power back, it seemed like, in the latter portion of his career here at California. But again, it hasn't gelled the same way, of course, due to the injury to Wendell Brown early on.
Portis is going to have to roll out. Good pass rush here from Fayetteville State. All he can do is keep it and get just past the line of scrimmage on the scramble for a gain of 1. Backside pursuit coming from Aaron Patterson, sophomore defensive end out of Mount Holly, North Carolina. But, Mike, that was another example of this Fayetteville team's speed.
Now, Aaron Patterson, again, has gotten to Josh Portis on numerous occasions and forced him out of the pocket. So they can have guys, again, not only at the linebacker's position with speed, but hey, guys in the down line position with some speed, and getting some pressure on Josh Portis is key. But again, he's the guy that's going to stay in there and deliver the football no matter what. But when you make him leave that pocket, now you open up a new element, and they're going to have to be very, very careful of that.
Play fake. Portis looking to the sideline. A nice snag from Jackson. Jackson bumped out of bounds at the 39. He's going to gain 8. California will have a manageable 3rd down and short now. That's a good timing route. Josh Portis is able to get that one to Jackson, and the ball's in his face as he turns around.
You can see they're delivering in perfect position. Only A.J. Jackson is going to get that football. You talked about the timing and chemistry between Josh Portis and A.J. Jackson there. He seems to have it week in and week out with all of his receivers, and that's a play right there that's gotten better. That ball's been delivered it's like a box he has, and it's been delivered in that box for only A.J. Jackson couldn't get it. And you get that completion, you get a very manageable 3rd down.
Portis and Jackson with the same numbers in different stat columns, as that's the only hookup California's had passing-wise today. Portis is going to take this snap and scramble. Think it was a designed run, and Portis has just enough for the 1st down. Move the sticks for the Vulcans. Josh Portis shows his speed right there, which going back makes that Aaron Patterson pass rush all the more impressive. Portis is a guy that's no slouch in the 40. He can move, and Patterson was able to keep up with him. Not on that play, however.
Josh Portis has some wheels, and I'd be interested to see what his calculated 40 time is. It can't be a shade too far from 4 or 5. I don't know. I don't want to slight him on anything like that, but he's definitely got receiver speed at quarterback. So usually quarterbacks that run like that, they're very good at making guys miss, but he just has that blazing speed.
Portis with a gun over the middle of the field, completes it to Chedrick Cherry at the 20, and he'll gain a little bit more. Cherry all the way down to the 10-yard line. Again, a 24 on the play for Chedrick Cherry. He's that 3rd guy, Mike, that if you put too much emphasis on Moore and Jackson, Chedrick Cherry will burn you, and he's a receiver here that should be successful in the future for California.
And they got it right here with Chedrick Cherry. Again, he was a guy that didn't play that much last year. He had some expectations, but again, give him a year to adapt to this football team. Now coming in, he's got a bigger role, and he'll have an even bigger role next year, obviously, but coming in this year, kind of the 3rd down receiver a little bit. He makes some big plays in 3rd downs. You can see they're making the play right there, working the zones, and the receivers are doing it. They're cutting and slicing through this Fayetteville State defense.
Trips to the left, and one of those receivers is Freddie Bacco at the split end position. A fade route looking for Cherry in the back of the end zone. Unbelievable adjustment, but Cherry is not going to reel it in. Everyone thought he was going to make that catch, and it had been an amazing snag. The coverage by Jeff Gowdy, that senior ball hawk of a safety, it's going to fall incomplete, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Again, the pressure got to him a little bit, but you can see making an adjustment to the front. He was that close to making that play on the football field. What a spectacular adjustment to the football. Ched's got to make that play. Get that highlight reel play for him to make those types of adjustments of football. But, again, staying in that pocket under the duress, Josh Portis delivering the football in pretty good position. But you talked about it. They have a ball hawk and safety back here.
Hand off to Freddie Bacco, has some space, lowers his shoulders, and he'll be stopped on the goal line by Jeff Gowdy. So it'll be 1st down and goal for California after another powerful run by Bacco. Brown looked good on the 1st drive for the Vulcans, but it's been all Freddie Bacco ever since. Mike, the dichotomy of this running back situation for California it's been successful, but has confused me all year. There's just no telling which guy is going to be the go-to ball carrier.
And I think that's a good thing, because when you have so many different dynamics to your running game, you could be very explosive, and who knows who the opposite team's kind of keying on. Freddie Backo, sometimes Brandon Anderson, sometimes, because he's gotten his hand full of handoffs some games, so he's very dangerous also.
Handoff to Backo, takes it up the middle. No signal yet from the officials. And he did not get into the end zone, stopped at the half-yard line, so it'll be 2nd down and goal now for California as we move under 8 minutes to play in the second quarter. Vulcans looking to make it a 3-score game, but yeah, Mike, even in these goal line situations, guys like Brandon Anderson, as we saw earlier, Sean Johnson, do become viable options. We'll see what they elect to do here on 2nd down and goal.
And going back to that, it seems like roles change as the season goes on. Some guys fill a different role better than other guys do.
It's Sean Johnson again. And again, he is going to be stopped short. They're looking to boost the fullback's TD numbers to 2 in this game, and he's not going to get it. It'll be 3rd down and goal. A stop here would be a huge morale boost for the Broncos, but it literally is a nose of the football away from breaking the plane and getting into the end zone.
Well, the nose tackle, Jamal Dixon, on that play, did a good job of stop-gapping on that play. He was able to stuff the interior offensive lineman, stop him, and get some kind of push on Johnson back out of the end zone. So it's a good play.
Goal line formation, handoff to Johnson, and a flag comes in immediately. Johnson got into the end zone. I don't think this could be an illegal motion. That appeared to be a legal set by the Vulcans. Touchdown is now signaled. We got to clean this laundry up.
And it's tough to see what this call is. Like you said, I don't know if it's a legal formation for California.
Fayettevill was showing blitz, and they were offsides indeed. The safety came up from the back row and stuck his nose a little too far into the offensive line. And that play stands. It's a touchdown for the Vulcans. And now they will see Sean Johnson does, in fact, increase his touchdown numbers to 2 on the game, and I think 3 on the season. I think that Mercyhurst touchdown was his only other, but I could be mistaken. Hagerman in to attempt the extra point. Holder Anthony Battaglini, and the PAT is up and good. It's 21-0. The California Vulcans cruising through this first-round game against the Fayetteville State Broncos. 6:48 remain in the second quarter. We'll be back with more here on CUTV.
You're watching CUTV, home of the best news coverage of California and surrounding areas.
On Tuesday, another fire sparked in Fayette County.
We are on scene in Carroll Township.
Andy Walter likes the wing tee.
Your home for Vulcan sports.
Hand off to Brown. He is stopped. Played in on net and a goal.
Atlantic Regional Champions.
And original student productions.
I never.
Now wait a minute there, sassy pants. Don't get me started on that.
Keep it tuned to CUTV.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
A 61-yard touchdown drive by California, culminating in another Sean Johnson touchdown run. They'll take up 5.5 minutes of clock, and they now lead the Fayetteville State Broncos by a score of 21-0. Did check the numbers during the break, and that's actually Johnson's 4th touchdown run on the season, his 2nd today. So the big guy becoming a solid goal line option for the Vulcans. Rewarded for all of his hard work blocking. And this one fielded by Medlin at the 6-yard line, breaking to the far sideline. Makes a couple of juke moves and then is forced out of bounds. I do think he got to the other side of the 30. And this will be some of the better starting field position that the Broncos have seen all day. But I don't know, Mike, at this stage in the games when we begin to question, this is a conference champion here today, and they have not looked it.
No, they haven't, and they haven't looked like they've put all the pieces together on offense yet. Again, very sporadic opening half for Ben Williams and this Broncos offense, but I do believe if they can kind of get to the ground a little bit more, and they have guys at those positions they need to get the football to, simplify things a little bit, and they'll be able to overcome a very stale first quarter and this early second quarter.
Quick screen, and it's complete out to number 82, Kendon Doe. Eric Harris whiffs on a tackle. He put his best foot forward, however, though, and then Mike Brown ended up finishing it off. But I think Harris missed the tackle because he was held, and you will get a good look at that on replay, I believe. And just Kenny Johnson going to affirm that this was indeed a hold, and that's the case. Now watch on replay right here. Eric Harris, I said whiffed on the tackle, but I don't mean that in a bad way because I think he'd have made the play if he was not held. Right there.
Yeah, you can see Eric Harris taking an angle. You're right. He was definitely held on that play, taken out of the play. And that's definitely frustrating initially. You're taken out, but the penalty sets them back in. They got some positive yardage out of that bubble screen, taking advantage of the speed of this Broncos team. That's all they've emphasized is speed on this team. Really haven't had an opportunity to see them take advantage of it.
5 wide for the Broncos, and it's nearly intercepted by Brett Diamond. The intended target on the play was Barry Dunn, the senior wideout from Raleigh, North Carolina. At 6'3", 217, you like to see him make that catch over the shorter Brett Diamond. There is now an injury on the field. It's a California player, but Mike, back to that pass, you see it on replay right there. That's a sloppy throw. Ben Williams is all kinds of uncomfortable today.
Again, the word I used earlier is the best word possible, sporadic. I don't know, not really ups and downs either. It's just a lot of downs for them. And I think the best approach right now is just have him hand off the football. You can see him hops into a step, never sets his feet in any position. The pump fake wasn't necessary. No one's made a break on their route yet, so nobody's going to bite on the pump fake. You can't just do things just to do things.
I never just did things just to do them.
You can't pump fake just a pump fake. No one's biting on it. So I think right now he needs to slow things down a little bit.
Sean Johnson scored the first touchdown and the third touchdown of the game for California. Here's another look at that first one. And then the following score for the Vulcans was that beautiful route run by A.J. Jackson and a nice delivery from Portis, 5-yarder. That put California up 14-0. And here's the final Sean Johnson touchdown run. Pretty much the same thing mirrored on the other side of the field. And California leads at 21-0. This is Brandon Gordon limping off the field for California. You kind of close your eyes and look the other way if you're a Vulcans fan, because Gordon is a staple of that defensive line. The limp could indicate anything. We won't speculate as to whether it's serious or not, but with a limp and off the field under his own power, he could return today.
Ben Gordon's definitely been a guy. Brandon Gordon's been a guy that's played very well for this team. Him alongside Willie Walker, and he's definitely rotated in and out with Thomas Mulaba. And those guys, again, playing the defensive end in the 3-4 scheme, that 5 technique. You have to be a very strong guy, and that's something that Brandon Gordon is.
A sack on the play by California. Gabe Hernandez, the academic All-American, coming in to make the stop for California. A flag is also thrown, and it's another hold against Fayetteville State, says referee Kenny Johnson. Cal's going to decline here and more than likely take this third down and to Hiller.
And it's been a very backwards drive for the Broncos. Again, nothing seems to be working for them right now. I don't know what they could possibly integrate right now that would change things up a little bit. I don't know what's working for them. Deep passes, maybe at this point in time, kind of get them on their heels a little bit. You just want, again, to kind of regroup a little bit here. And Ben Williams, again, you don't want to put too much on him, but it just doesn't look like he's comfortable right now.
Screen set up right there, and the blocks do not hold. Matt McClellan chases down Richard Medlin and makes the play. It'll be 4th down now, and Fayetteville State would have to make up. This is over 20.
You can see only sending 3 on this play. So you got 8 guys dropping back. And the first guy to get in on the play is the only guy that really need to get in on the play, wrapping that play up. And good tackle, open field. Really is open field tackle. When you got that many blockers out there, you expect on a screen to have some room to run. No one really stuck with a block. And they just, again, don't seem to be. That peanut butter and jelly sandwich is missing a lot of peanut butter.
And a muffed punt right there, and Fayetteville State looks like they have fallen on it. And this would be a huge momentum boost for the Broncos.
Something they needed.
They have the ball.
They've indicated they have the ball now, so you can see right now this is big for them. Now they got to come out and do something with this, but
there's your player to watch, Mike, and you said that this was what you were watching him for.
This is the phase I expect him to be very explosive, but in that regard right there, that's the second week in a row he's taken an ill-advised catch on a punt return. So Chad's a lot better than that. You know, he's a lot smarter than that, and he knows that on that one he has to take the fair catch or let it bounce.
Yeah, it was last week, and he fielded the ball when it looked like it was heading in the end zone. Would have been a touchback, and he picked it up on the 5, and that's where California would be stopped. So he'll be getting an earful from the special teams coaches. Looking downfield now is Ben Williams, and he completes his first pass of the day to Jameer Pugh, the freshman from Henderson, North Carolina, listed as a quarterback, doubling as a receiver right here. And finally, you know, a little bit of momentum, and suddenly Williams looks a little bit more comfortable.
And that's a safe play right there, because you can have him check down levels. You got a guy streaking downfield at the 3rd level. You have somebody at the midfield range, about 12 yards where he delivered the football. And he had a guy underneath, the fullback underneath. If he didn't have those guys downfield, he can just deliver the football underneath. So that's a safe play for him.
Williams rolls left here, looks into the end zone. It's tipped by Josh Menendez, and that is a great defensive play. Menendez covered about 7 yards laterally to make that tip, and that's just a case of a little lack of arm strength by Ben Williams. He couldn't get there quick enough, and it allows the safety to break on the ball.
That ball had no zip on it. You could see make an adjustment to the play. You could see all the way out playing the seam. He cuts this play immediately before the ball's even delivered, and then gets a hand on it. You talk about the adjustment he made. Very sound defensive play by Josh Menendez.
Draw give to Richard Medlin, and Medlin is tackled by Brandon Livesey at the 10-yard line. He'll get some help from Steve Santia coming from the backside to help on that tackle for California. But it'll be a 3rd down and 6 now for the Broncos.
And I like the way they played that delayed game handoff right there. Had a linebacker coming in on the blitz, but they still had guys back to defend. On that delayed handoff, you want your offensive lineman to get to the next level on blocking. Well, they didn't, so he's immediately met. That's a play that's designed to get extra yardage. You didn't on that play.
Pro backfield for the Fayetteville State Broncos. Have not seen this yet today, and now an adjustment is made. And now the backfield's offset. They're going to hand it off. This one goes to number 24, Rasheen Pinkney. And Pinkney is going to be very near the 1st down, Mike.
And one of the things, you know, talking about this offense for them, they're obviously a run-blocking offensive line. They're very heavy up front, and they have guys that are a couple of guys that are well over 300 pounds on this offensive line. So the one thing that you could see California's been preached is being disciplined, technique-wise, getting off your blocks, being quick to the point of attack, and then being, when you're the first guy there, you should be the only guy, and then bring them down.
And a timeout taken by the Fayetteville State Broncos. And they're going to discuss what to do here on 4th down and 1. California taking on Fayetteville State in this opening contest, Mike, and Fayetteville State looking to get themselves into the end zone here. You know, their coach Kenny Phillips preaches staying in games, and because they've stayed in games, that has earned them the 6th seed here in the region. They're able to beat Bowie State because it was only 10-0 in that 4th quarter. You know, if they go to this locker room against California down 21-7, they're in this game moving into the 2nd half.
I agree with you. I agree. Again, two teams that have played the 4th quarter as well as possible, and again, staying in games, not quitting. I don't see too much quit on their face. I just think this is a team that needed a chance. As you can see, they're the 6th, but you can see it right here. Very crucial. 3 in the 6th matchup today. Either one of these teams will have a very tough time with Shippensburg next week.
Yeah, and California lost 42-35 to Ship. That's a moral victory on the scoreboard for the Vulcans, because that easily could have a final box score of 42-21, 42-14. Ship dominated the Vulcans through 3 quarters last weekend at Seth Grove Stadium. Vulcans with a scratch and claw effort in the 4th quarter to get themselves back into it. 4th down, 1 yard to go. Ball spotted on the California 6-yard line. Handoff to Medlin, stuffed in the backfield. California reads it. Terrence Johnson and Brett Diamond break on the ball carrier Medlin, and this is a turnover on downs. Fayetteville State cannot capitalize on the special teams error of California.
Unnecessary turnover on downs. Still 4th and 1. Anybody should be able to execute 4th and 1. We talked about the speed at the linebacker position for Fayetteville State. The speed in the linebacker position in California is unmatched, I believe. Brett Diamond getting on that play. Very quick, very explosive at the point of attack when he's coming downhill. Very good downhill linebacker, and he's improved his game. Again, I expect plenty of these guys to get those postseason accolades like Dante Brown, like Brett Diamond, these guys should be hearing their names called alongside Arontez Miles and Willie Walkers of this team.
Hand off to Wendell Brown. He tries to bounce it outside. I'm not going to say he bounces it outside, but does bounce off a backfield tackler and carries it up the middle and makes it a positive. It's a 4-yard gain for Brown, and the Vulcans face 2nd and 6. Mike, you won't see it on this play. I don't know if you noticed it, but Terrence Moore was picked up right before the snap by a safety. That's one of those times where you got to start thinking about a pump and a deep look if you're California to keep those safeties honest.
You definitely want to take advantage of the mismatch, and that would be a mismatch for any safety going up against the speed of Terrence Moore.
They'll give him a 6-yard cushion here, and Portis starts off looking on that side, checks down now, and looks back to his left and completes it to the tight end, Blake Williamson, coming across the field on a drag route, and that'll be a 1st down for the Vulcans.
Got that safety belt in the Blake Williams releasing in on this play. Initially set in as a blocker, but you can see he leaves the pocket, coming in on that drag route. Josh Porter does a good job of throwing it kind of opposite of his body, rolling out to his left instead of his right. It's kind of uncomfortable throw a quarterback would have to make that throw, but he doesn't. He delivers the ball. Blake Williams is right in his breadbasket, able to get some extra yardage downfield. And Blake Williamson is a guy, very athletic. We're looking for a tight end for this team. I think him and Chet Welch, those guys combined, could have a very complimentary tight end position.
Portis is going to take a timeout. The point you made about Blake Williamson is a good one, Mike. He's a redshirted freshman, so he's still got 3 years of eligibility after this. At 6'3", 230, maybe slightly undersized, but I think Williamson may develop into perhaps the most athletic tight end that California's had in the last 6 or 7 years, and a viable receiving target. I don't know much about his blocking abilities. That's why Welk's primarily the starter. But in terms of a receiving option, if Williamson does improve blocking-wise, he's going to get a lot of time out there and probably a lot of looks. California schedule one more time. We look at the back half of the season. They just ran the table in the PSAC West, and it began with that win in Westchester, which was a must-win for California. Had they lost that, I don't know whether or not they'd be in this playoff game right now. They certainly would be the 3 seed. It had taken everything in their power to get into the playoffs. And in Fayetteville State's schedule, we don't know much about any of these teams, Mike, but not the convincing wins in conference that California had.
Right, and you can see the early portion of their season, they kind of had a similar start to California, losing their early portion of their games. UNC Pembroke, I'm familiar where that's located, but Bowie State, again, looking at them twice in the season. Shaw, who had a pretty good offense in that conference. I think they were #1 in most of the categories on offense, but you can see, again, they don't play the teams. They don't quite match up to the caliber teams California faced this season, no doubt. California took the very brutal early part of their schedule and made the best out of they could as the season went on.
Portis going to look downfield for Chedrick Cherry, and he sails him by a few yards again. Joshua Wilkins on the coverage for Fayetteville State, but yeah, Mike, I think it's something that has been argued the last couple of seasons now, that the PSAC seems to be the cream of the crop in the Northeast region. The unfortunate thing, however, though, is because of the results of the playoffs the past couple of seasons, the Northeast region is seen as the weakest of the 4 regions.
And I think that's good for the teams in the Northeast region, bad for the teams in the other regions, because you kind of underestimate these teams. You're gonna be very surprised.
I formation. Portis hands it off to Wendell Brown, and Brown is drugged down from behind. Barely got back to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be 3rd down and 10 for California. Fayetteville State takes a timeout with 1:42 remaining in the half. Mike, this timeout, maybe Fayetteville saying, let's get a stop here and try to put some points on the board before the half, or regroup defensively?
They need to regroup defensively first, because, again, California has done what they need to do, and I think it starts on 3rd downs for California. Last week, they had a lot of 3rd and longs, and they did not convert in the early portion of that game. And coming in this game, they've been very successful on 3rd downs in this game. I think one of the things Fayetteville State needs to work on the defensive side, again, is pass rush. It's very crucial for them. They're getting quarterback hurries on Josh Portis, but again, bringing him down for losses and getting those 3rd and longs, 2nd and longs, then getting to a lead in the 3rd and longs, 4th and longs, that'll push back California's attack a little bit.
And California's offensive attack has been steadfast today, is the best way I could put it, as they haven't really been unloading on the Broncos. They're not throwing everything in the kitchen sink at them, but they just continue to pound it at the Broncos, push them back, and they're scoring every time they get the chance. California has only punted once today, I believe.
And I think if you look at the first round in their playoff games, and I mean, even look last year when they played Seton Hill, very vanilla in that game. Seton Hill came out with an opening kickoff, was very explosive, but other than that, they didn't do much. And California's offense very vanilla. It seemed to come out the same way.
Pass over the middle. Portis intended for Jackson, and that's a rare miss throw from Josh Portis, and that one is behind his intended target, Jackson. They don't hook up there. It'll be 4th and 10, and that timeout now by Fayetteville State suddenly looks like it may help them at least have a chance to get some points on the board before the locker room break.
That ball just at the shoestrings of A.J. Jackson, unable to bring that in. And again, getting to a 4th down. Now you talk about Fayetteville State getting into a position now where they can do something. It could even be here on this punt return. If they can get a block or get a return, it'd be crucial for them.
And that punt is blocked, and that one is going to come to a rest at the 38-yard line. So Fayetteville State is going to have excellent field position to try to get this ball into the end zone. Even their kicker, Austin Turner, has the ability to put some points on the board for the Fayetteville State Broncos, and that is the 2nd special teams error of the day for California. And they may be lucky that they're playing this 6-seeded Bronco team, because special teams errors in the playoffs are usually a recipe for disaster.
You talk about the 3 phases of the game being very equal, but there's only one phase of the game that can't lose you football games. That's special teams. Special teams has to be even a positive or equalizer. It can't be a negative.
Draw play. It's Richard Medlin, and that's Willie Walker leaping on his back and bringing him down immediately. Medlin gets to the 35-yard line. That'll be a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
And I think handing the football off generally could work for this football team, but now they kind of go in that no hurry a little bit. They needed all the time they need to kind of get into a rhythm a little bit on offense.
Strong eye backfield. Williams is going to roll. Williams is going to throw it downfield, and the throw downfield is just away, making sure it's not intercepted, keeping this drive alive. It'll be 3rd and 7 with 56 seconds remaining in the first half.
And one thing I will give them credit to here on the Fayetteville's coaching staff, Coach Phillips, shown faith in his quarterback. I mean, he's shown he hasn't switched too much in this game, leading me to believe that he believes this guy on the field is the guy that can get them going. But as I say that, look who enters the game.
That's Tyler Hosler, the junior quarterback from Peoria, Arizona. At 6'3", 192, he looks much more of a pocket presence than Ben Williams, and he comes in to hand it off to Richard Medlin, who is stopped by Terrence Johnson. Johnson off a career high in tackles last week against Ship with 9, and he's already had 3 today. It'll be 4th down and 7 with the clock winding at 35 seconds. Hosler brought in for nothing more than a mirage. Let's see what he does here on 4th down.
You can see right now the communication, not having everything down, going back to the coaching staff. They're just going to let this thing run out, or they're going to take a heave into the end zone.
I think they're going to take a timeout with a few seconds left. Now, Austin Turner was booting 50-yard field goals in warm-ups earlier today, and this one would be about 52. And they change units, and Austin Turner is indeed going to come on and try a 50-plus yard field goal. He was making them in practice.
And you talked about Austin Turner for this team being a viable threat. Talked about him booting him from 52. If he makes this, it'd be the longest I've seen him make. So you can see they're 88 points this season, 17 field goals, 37 extra points, 2nd most in FSU history. Again, he has the leg strength.
One of the highest scorers in Fayetteville State history, Austin Turner, a viable kicking option in the CIAA. And this one will be from 52 yards. And it's on the far hash, which makes it a little harder. Good snap, good hold. Turner's kick is a line drive that is wide left and would have been short. 4 seconds work off the clock. We have 7.4 remaining, and I would assume the Vulcans will just kneel for this final play. And they will take that 21-0 lead into the locker room. I don't know if Turner didn't get all that. It was partially blocked, but the guy that was making 50-yarders look easy in warm-ups was well off on that kick.
And that's still a pretty long field goal for, I would assume for him. And I know when you take those long field goals, you look at them, they talk about words that I haven't used since high school, like trajectory and all those the different accounts you got to make. And that's a long field goal. That'd be the longest field goal I've seen here in the stadium.
There's the kneel by Josh Portis. 21-0, California leading at the break. It's 2 touchdown runs from Sean Johnson and an A.J. Jackson touchdown reception that have given the Vulcans the 3-touchdown lead. They are ahead of the Fayetteville State Broncos, the 3 and the 6 seed, facing off here in the first round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. We'll be back with the second half after this here on CUTV Sports.
Not able to catch the Vulcan game this past week? Missed the latest edition of News Center? No problem. All CUTV broadcasts are now available for mail order. Whether you want CalU athletics, local high school football, CUTV News Center, or other great CUTV programming,
Wouldn't you like to see that?
it is now all available. Pick up an order form from the CUTV truck at any local sporting event, or send your check for $16.95, made payable to SAI, to the address shown on the screen.
I got no pulse, we're losing him.
Charging. He's in VFib.
Shock him. Drives that road all the time. He just had a few drinks. This can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. You just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right, this isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shock him.
After trying for about 7 months to stay open, Brownsville Hospital closed its doors to the public once again.
Drew Brown! Boo!
We'll be right back after this. And we're back. Facebook is now taking a step back after quietly...
Oh, hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey.
Where have you been?
I lost my cat.
Oh, that's not right.
Yeah, so I made this cat magnet to try and get him back.
Cool. Does it work?
Kinda.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's not my cat. Gotta keep working on it. See ya.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports coverage. NCAA Division II first-round playoff action. The California Vulcans at home and hosting as the 3 seed against the Fayetteville State Broncos, and they lead by a score of 21-0 at the half. Welcome back to our coverage here on CUTV and the B2 Network. Josh Eachus and Mike Ford bringing the actions. Mike, I'm going to throw it to you for a rundown of some of the halftime statistics.
We can see there California outmatching Fayetteville State in every single category. You can see their first downs, California with 9 first downs, Fayetteville State only 2. Rushing yards, passing yards for California, 72 rushing yards, 99 passing yards for them, 171 total yards, just 36 yards total offense in that first half for Fayetteville State. They need to get things rolling. Both teams had 1 turnover, 1 interception for Fayetteville State, the fumble and the punt return for California. Time of possession, 15 minutes and 7 seconds for California, 14 minutes and 53 seconds. But ultimately what it comes down to is only one stat, 21-0 is your score, California Vulcans.
Speaking of that interception, Mike, that was what kicked us off here at Hepner Bailey Field at Adamson Stadium. First play from scrimmage for Fayetteville State was Benjamin Wilson dropping the pass, and as you called it, Terrence Johnson running a better route than the wide receiver to come away with the interception. Ensuing possession, it'd be a Sean Johnson 1-yard touchdown run, capping off the drive for California that went 45 yards. And then their next score would be this 5-yard pass from Portis to A.J. Jackson on a nice route run to make it 14-0, and the final score, another Sean Johnson touchdown run. Same play, other side of the field, California's up 21-0 Mike, right after we went off the air, after the first half, you and I discussed how, I'm not sure the exact adjectives we used, but bread and butter, bland, anything you want to say for California that first half. Not too flashy, just come out, get the job done.
Right, you don't want to. You want to come out, be as productive as you possibly can. You want to be as vanilla as you possibly can, mainly because realize you're going to be on film again. You don't want to give Shippensburg an extra week of film to study, get a look at what your offense is going to look at. That's not being overly confident. That's just knowing that's a good strategy. You don't want the teams to have an extra week of footage on you. So you come out to this game, you'll be very bland. You don't want to show too much, but at the same time, be aggressive in spots, and they've done that, especially on defense. I like the way this defensive aggressiveness and intensity has been stepped up to a different level for this game, which is very appropriate, seeing how they kind of have a lapse week last week going against that Shippensburg high-powered offense.
Yeah, and on the Fayetteville State side of things, Mike, can't write them off just yet. This game is not over until it's over, but you assume California will be playing Shippensburg next week. But the Fayetteville State Broncos have sort of gotten away from their philosophy, head coach Kenny Phillips, and that's keep yourself in it into the fourth quarter, and that's just not the case yet. The fourth quarter, 15 minutes away, Fayetteville State needs at least one score to consider themselves in this game heading into that final 15 minutes. California receives to start this third quarter, and it's taken by Chedrick Cherry at the 9-yard line. Cherry keeps it up the middle on the return and gets to the 25-yard line.
And one of the things you talked about they haven't really implemented too much into this game. They haven't dictated anything on offense, on defense, and unless they're doing the greatest showing of the rope-a-dope in football history, then I'm expecting California to come out and continue to have their foot on the neck of this Fayetteville Broncos team. But ultimately what it comes down for California is, again, moving the football down the field. They've had some long, extensive drives. I think 2 drives for them, and their scoring drives were 10-plus plays. So that opening drive for them, 10 plays. They had 11-play drive, long, sustaining drives for them, and that's the key.
Hand off to Wendell Brown. Brown cuts back, finds a gap, and gains 6 yards for the Vulcans. This is kind of the way the first half started, Mike. Give it to Wendell Brown early and let Freddie Bacco finish it off late. It's not a bad strategy. You get everybody chasing Wendell, Brown getting winded, and then that clears space for Freddie Bacco to come in and run over people.
Freddie Bacco, again, is kind of that hitter. So it's definitely like a pitcher having a couple of pitches that he can go to. Wendell Brown will definitely be your fastball, but I don't know what you would call Freddie Bacco. He's kind of like a curveball changeup thing, and Freddie's hard-hitting downhill running back and very explosive too.
Portis rolling out to his left, sending it over the middle, and it's off the hands of Terrence Moore, incomplete. Nearly intercepted by Jeff Gowdy, but it'll be 3rd down and 5. Before that play, you may have seen Chamar Jones limping off the screen on the bottom of your screen. And that was not a limp, that was a hop. Chamar Jones, just a shoe issue. And Chamar celebrating a little bit today as his alma mater, the Aliquippa Quip, successful last night in first round WPIL playoff action.
Can't sleep on the Quips, again. A team that, again, reigning, defending champions for them, and they come out and get a victory, so they move on into that final 2 matchups in that side of the bracket for them.
Shotgun, twin backs, and Josh Portis wants a timeout. And he will take that. Update us on what's going on here so far today. We were just talking about WPIL brackets. Now let's take a look at NCAA Division II playoff football brackets in Super Region 1 here. West Lib and Ship with the byes. California and Fayetteville State playing in the game you're watching right now. We do have a score update for those of you watching live on the B2 network. Edinboro has scored to pull within 3 points of East Stroudsburg. It's 13-10 between ESU and Edinboro at this point in time. We'll hope to update you on that a little later on if we can get a final score. It depends which game concludes first, but both games went to half at about the same time, so we should have some late game updates from that. And Mike, Edinboro's that team that might be counting their lucky stars that they're in these playoffs ahead of Clarion. And look at the Super Regional 1 rankings right there. Fayetteville State is in under that earned access rule. Bentley, a team that had kind of an easy contest in the final week, and they lose, and that drops them all the way to 10, or else Edinburgh easily could have been bumped from these standings as well.
Yeah, Bentley definitely shot themselves in the foot in that regard. They were in grand position to move up. They would have got a victory. They possibly could have even bypassed California. That might have changed the minds of the voters. But either way, I see Bentley as a team that shot themselves. Also, we talked about earlier, Bloomsburg did themselves no favor in losing to Shippensburg, but ultimately losing that game last week too.
And Edinburgh has actually just taken the lead. It's now 17-13, Borough leading over East Stroudsburg. So a pair of quick scores from Edinburgh here. And we have a penalty on third down. It is against California. False start on California, backs them up 5, and it's a 3rd down and 10 for the Vulcans now. But Mike, this isn't a situation where California really could say the penalty killed their drive. A 3rd down and 10, not easy, but manageable against this Fayettevill State team.
You're right, and I think, again, we talked about them putting themselves in a 3rd and longs. It's definitely not what they want. This team is much better when they have a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, manageable 3rd downs.
Blitz is on. Portis slings it over the middle and finds Chedrick Cherry at the 45. A spin move gets him 5 extra yards across midfield now. Brought down by Rico Bell, but California will convert and move those sticks as we move under 14 minutes in the 3rd quarter. Chedrick Cherry, the first receiver other than A.J. Jackson to reel in a pass today for California.
You're right, and you can see they're working on the outside, that slant, to get it inside. Again, get such a great release off the line of scrimmage. Blazing speed also to get in the position to get that grab, and then the yards after the catch, spin move, putting this team in a very good field position past midfield line.
Shotgun, twin backs again. Jackson in the slot to the far side. It's a handoff to Wendell Brown. Huge hole up the middle. Crosses the 1st down markers and a little more. Rico Bell makes the stop on Wendell Brown, but Brown rips off 18 yards, and the sticks move again.
I want to take a look at this run again. You could see, again, the delay, handoff. You can see following up the field between the seams between Freddie Backo, peeling off. That peel-off block, kind of hook him and have him move to the outside, go right up the field, very explosive. Wendell Brown making the adjustments. I often talk about how Josh Portis has grown. Wendell Brown, as a freshman, when he started first getting looks, was a one-dimensional. Outside, that was it. Now he's become an inside runner, been very patient, and he seems to be he's a threat now at the running back position.
And off to Backo, brought down in the backfield by Joseph Brown. Flag comes in late on the play. Wendell Brown, this is going to be a personal foul. It's a face mask against Fayettevill State. So, you know, Mike, they make a good defensive play, and just like that, it's all for naught. It's another 1st down for the Vulcans because of the miscue.
80 yards and penalties. It's kind of what you expect.
Stand by for the official from referee Kenny.
Personal foul. Mask. 33 on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
So the chains do move. And, yeah, you said it, Mike. 80 penalty yards, that tells a story, and that's just something that you can't afford against the California Vulcans if you're Fayetteville State. I mean, barely any team's can afford that against anybody, let alone a team that is heavily overpowering you to this point in the game.
I mean, they had 3 in that first half put together, so, you know, coming out in here and giving California a field position. You want to give a team that's beating you anything. You want to have them, anything they're going to do, they're going to earn it. And if you give them that, I mean, you might as well just give them a touchdown right here.
Portis will pass, pump fake, and then a shot to the end zone looking for Jackson. Miscommunication right there. Jackson seemed to stop a little bit early on the route. And Portis throws this one deep, and he's lucky it wasn't intercepted.
You can see it on display. Late release a little bit. Looked off the defender, but getting to that football, good adjustment to it. Overthrow it, just throwing it out of bounds, out of the reach of anyone. Just to give yourself another down, would be 2nd down for them. But that connection, again, started off blazing in the first quarter, first half. Kind of dying down a little bit now.
Pitch to Freddie Backo. Great block by Brandon Anderson. Springs Freddie Backo, and he will be stopped just shy of the end zone. And Gerard Atkinson, the man that's going to prevent Backo from getting in, but watch the block by Brandon Anderson.
You can see it in this inside hook they've been running for the past couple of weeks has really worked for them to get some positive yardage. You talked about it, Brandon Anderson right up the front, pushing his man to the second level, giving lanes for Freddie Backo to run the football. It's exciting to see Freddie get off. Again, talking about the dimensions of his game, very explosive to the point of attack. Very much, he gets to that second level, third level, and he's looking for contact. And ain't nobody trying to go up against him. No.
Terrence Moore dots the I and goes into motion, into the slot now. Portis looking his way into the end zone. Complete touchdown, Vulcans. Terrence Moore reels it in. Wait a minute. They're trying to say that he wasn't in the end zone, Mike. I find that hard to believe.
It definitely looked like he caught that ball at the end zone. I could see that ball being past that white line right there, and that would be a touchdown.
Terrence Moore not going to score. He's going to sub out of the game instead, and it's going to be second down and inches to go. And guess what? It's Sean Johnson and Freddie Backfield behind Josh Portis. It's been working so far. Let's see if it's Sean Johnson again. They give it to him. He keeps the legs moving. He gets a push, and he's stopped on forward progress. Fayetteville stands him up that time. Stop made by Marcus Esquivel. Haven't heard his name since early in the first quarter. No gain, and it'll be third down and goal.
It's the same play. And Fayetteville hasn't played it awfully. Sean Johnson has had to work for these touchdowns. He hasn't had walk-ins. He's had to push and turn his way in for touchdowns. So it's very important to realize that Fayetteville, when they get in this goal line situation, has been very, very stout.
You expect to see it again here, Mike, or are they going to pitch it to Freddie?
Well, I see AJ in the game. Excuse me, that's Judge Cherry, so we're going to see, but I expect to see him hand it off.
There is the pitch to Freddie. He goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Vulcans. Freddie Backo makes it a 4-score game for California, getting his first rushing touchdown of the game. Johnson just the blocker right there, going back to that nose to the grindstone type work. And now Hagerman in to make this a clean 28-0 for California.
And Sean Johnson's been great in that situation, but this is Freddie Backo's territory. You get in that goal line. He has a nose for the end zone, and he gets in on that easily, pretty much untouched. But thanks to the guys up front, especially guys like Sean Johnson at the fullback position.
Snap was low. The hold seemed to be down in time. Hagerman will never get this one off, however. A flag comes in, and California jumps early, so
92 offense. Retry.
Hagerman's PAT attempt goes from 20 yards to 23 now. Excuse me, 20 yards to 25. Again, the snap is low, but Battaglini gets the hold down, and Hagerman's kick is up and good. 28-0. California leading the Fayetteville State Broncos. 10:09 remain in the third quarter. The Broncos take the field for the first time in the second half on the other side of this break.
We know you want family-friendly sporting events.
Sporting events where you can be comfortable
and entertained in a positive environment. Watching great individuals and teams compete.
With commitment, effort, and good sportsmanship. That's what the Division II Game Environment Initiative is about.
Be a part of the excitement and find out why. These student athletes say with pride,
I chose.
I chose.
I chose Division II.
You are watching CUTV, California University Television.
One-yard rush from Freddie Backo makes it 28-0. California over Fayetteville State on this beautiful November afternoon, ripe for playoff football. And the Vulcans in the first round have commanding third quarter lead over their opening round foe, the 6-seed Broncos. They kick off now to Fayetteville State. Mike, I do declare that if Fayetteville State doesn't get something going in a hurry, this game is over.
I think they definitely need to get something going, and I think coming out of the second half, number 12 should be the guy that takes the snaps now.
And that would be Tyler Hosler, and if that's the case, he'll come onto the field right around the 34-yard line with his offense. didn't really get a chance to see any of his talents late in the second quarter because he only ran 2 plays. Just another look at the pitch, Mike, and after the run to Sean Johnson, they set up in the same formation and then toss it back to Freddie, and there was a pretty gaping hole there. They were keying in on the middle of the line.
Well, it actually started by 2 guys we talked about earlier. That's Blake Williams and Chet Welsh on the outside. So the 2 tight ends working together to peel off, and then you got Sean Johnson inside. It creates a gaping hole for Freddie Backo.
This is Ben Williams throwing, chucks it over the middle. It's broke on and nearly intercepted for the second time today by Terrence Johnson. Jameer Pugh, the intended receiver, so I guess Coach Kenny Phillips and his staff electing to go back to Benjamin Williams and leave Tyler Hosler on the sideline.
Now, I don't know if they know that Terrence Johnson is an All-American cornerback, and if they don't, they should realize it by now because they've thrown into his area way too much today, more than I've seen any other team so far. So they're definitely picking on the wrong cornerback today, and it's definitely shown so far in this game.
2nd and 10. Play fake. Design keeper Marcus Cook in pursuit, and he and Brandon Livesey will run Benjamin Williams out of bounds for a loss of 1. Williams just avoids taking the hit, and with 9:50 to play in the 3rd quarter, Fayetteville State faces a 3rd and 12.
You know, you look at this team, and again, California on defense has been very quick to the football. I'm just impressed with how, different they look now. It's more intense, more aggressive, more hungry on defense than they did last week.
And Ben Williams is going to be sacked. That play made by number 92, Ryan Keebler, getting his first sack in a few weeks for the Vulcans. The junior from Grindstone, Pennsylvania, will send the Broncos packing back to the sidelines. Mike, pass rush coming from all directions today for California. Ryan Keebler getting involved now.
And he was able to kind of go under Alexander Anthony, tackle for Fayetteville State. Nice little move, and Keebler showing some pass rushing abilities, getting in on Williams, and you just got to see how many times he's been hit today. It can't be good for this offense.
Turner's punt pretty deep again. It rolls down the sideline and out of bounds.
So if you look, Terry, my guy Iden has had a pretty good game today offensively. Special teams, again, that phase that can't cause you any problems. It can only help you. But offensively now, California, again, continue to mop up that time a little bit. Run the football. Stay aggressive, but just keep into the game plan, and they should ride things. I think that last drive said a lot to me. It didn't say that Fayetteville State's quitting, but at the same time, it just showed me they have no answers.
And at what point do you see California letting off the gas a little bit and keeping the ball grounded?
It's tough to say. I think when you get into that 4th quarter, when you feel safe, whenever your team feels safe, whenever your coaching staff feels safe, that they can kind of, turn off the jets a little bit, that's when you do it.
They will pass here. Portis slings it downfield, looking for A.J. Jackson. Great coverage by Adrian Horton, and he nearly intercepts it. That'd be the first throw today that I'd say Portis probably should have sent out of bounds or maybe taken off and run, because I don't care how big Jackson is. When a defensive back has that kind of positioning, he's apt to make a play.
Yeah, that football is asking for trouble, but Josh Portis, again, a guy that's very protective of the football. He's not going to throw it unless you're open, and if he's going to throw it, it's going to be a pretty ball that time. Not only was A.J. Jackson not open, but it wasn't the ideal throw you would expect him to deliver.
2nd and 10 to go. Portis hands it off to Wendell Brown. Looked like he had some trouble with the handoff right there, and that little bumble gives the defense of the Broncos time to get into the backfield. Joseph Brown makes the stop for Fayetteville State. It'll be 3rd down and 11 now. That's Brown's 3rd tackle of the day.
This entire defense for California's been very active. A lot of guys gotten in on plays today. They've kind of been gang tackling, and so it's accumulated for them. But again, Dante Brown for California has been very stout. The linebackers, again, very active for Fayetteville State.
And what a catch by A.J. Jackson. Portis threads the needle on the post route. Somehow Jackson reels it in. I have no clue how Portis got that through those 2 defenders. This should be an excellent view of that.
I don't know. He's not open. That's a perfect pass. Great defense, and that pass was just as perfect as possibly thrown. You want to talk about fitting it in a window. There was no window there. He kind of broke the window, it seems like, and he had to fit that in a space that no way I thought that ball was going to complete, and he did. And great job by A.J. Jackson to hold on to that football, because that football was coming in and it had a little fire trail behind it.
Pitch to Wendell Brown. Cuts it back to the far side of the field and makes a positive run for himself. Wendell Brown saw no space on the near side where the play was designed, Mike. Goes back the other way and turns it into an 8-yard gain. That's a real nice heads-up play by Wendell Brown, keeping his eyes downfield.
And that's when him using his natural athletic ability is at its best. And you can see that there's nowhere to run with the football, and he makes the adjustments. That's when you use your speed. Being the patience and the timing of a running back is very key. He shows us there.
6:45 remaining in the third. Another pitch to Wendell Brown. This time he will keep it on the side it's designed. Breaks a tackle and 2 more before being drug out of bounds by Jeff Gowdy at the 15-yard line. Wendell Brown is going to rip off 20 yards, 21 yards to be exact. And that will be a first down and 10 for California in the red zone.
And Wendell Brown here getting some great blocks. But you can see, pulling guards, Dan Jordan got a great cut block on that play in the outside, following his blockers. Good blocking downfield by the receivers on that play, so he gets some extra yards because of that. And Wendell Brown, again, showing the aptitude to get to the sideline, showing the speed, and following the blockers is key.
Freddie Bacco, now the tailback in the I formation for California. He will get the look. Cuts it back up the middle. Stays just inside of his left tackle on the play there. And that is Chamar Jones, who is back into the game after having that shoe issue earlier on. Bacco, a nice run there, and it's 2nd down and 4. You know, you wouldn't think it, Mike, when you look at it. Wendell has Freddie doubled up in carries today, but it seemed like it's a more even split than that.
It does. It seems like this is kind of like the natural handoff you expect from this team. About 15 handoffs for Wendell Brown, 79 yards in the game. 8 handoffs for Freddie Bacco, 45 yards, and of course the touchdown.
Handoff to Bacco into the end zone. Touchdown, Vulcans. Freddie Bacco with a 12-yard touchdown run. Well, he cut it back up the middle right there, and that is how you read a defense as a running back, knowing where this open space is and getting it in to the pay dirt.
And Wendell Brown saw them earlier. The cutback lanes were there. From now you see Freddie Bacco taking advantage of them, cutting back. You can see when you have those open holes, you got to hit them hard. That's one thing you say about Freddie Bacco. Very, very explosive running back.
Extra point by Hagerman, up. Extra point by Hagerman, good. California with a 35-0 lead now. 5:23 remaining in the third quarter. We'll be back after this on CUTV Sports.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports. 35-0. California leading the Fayetteville State Broncos in this 3-6 matchup in the first round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. California watches a 11-yard rush from Freddie Bacco going to the end zone to put them up by 5 touchdowns. And now the kickoff is away and fielded by Jeffrey Brooks at the 10-yard line. Brooks goes all the way back across field. And for his efforts, he only gains about 5 yards. That stop eventually made by Trey Allen for California. Here's another look at the touchdown from Freddie Bacco.
Good blocking up front again. The cutback lane was there. Being very patient in his running style. Freddie Bacco, obviously a very aggressive running back. a guy that'll finish his runs, but you know what? Sometimes he can go unscathed into the end zone, and that play was exactly one of those examples of that.
Williams hands off. And this one is taken by Richard Medlin. Matt McClellan makes the tackle for California. Medlin gains 5. Quick snap, Williams. Hand off to Medlin again. He cuts it back up the middle. Near first down yardage here. That time in on the play for the Vulcans was Gabe Hernandez. It's going to be a first down, actually, for Medlin and the Broncos. They're going to move the chains. And, Mike, I'll take a chance to ask you real quick. How about Calvin Harris? Haven't seen him at all today.
You haven't seen him, so I don't want to speculate, but, I mean, if you're going to rely on a running game, you would think we have a nice mixture, and on that play, got guys running into each other. Everything's off for them. Nothing is working. They don't seem to have anything going for them at all. You would expect them to try those things. And, again, Calvin Harris is a guy that's a senior running back. In the last 4 games, again, he's had over 90 yards rushing. What's the deal? Give him the football. Unless he's hurt or injured, he needs to be playing right now.
Play fake to Medlin. Williams rolls to the right. Sends it over the middle on that one. Into the hands of Jameer Pugh. It looked like a catch, but he lost the ball. It's incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 10 now. Not a great delivery from Williams, but to your college wideout, Jameer Pugh, you have to bring it in.
Jameer Pugh already has a catch in this game, pretty much in the same route, the same play design right there. And you have Williams leaving the pocket, rolling out, and again, he plays that little seam route. He already caught one, unable to bring that one in. A lot of guys aren't stepping up on the outside like we expected them to.
5 wide. Williams has trouble with the snap, then corrals it, sends the ball to the left. And it's going to be Jameer Pugh just trying to make guys miss. Can't do it. Ending that play was Kyle Crane for California. It's 4th and 9. Fayetteville will punt again.
If you looked at the season stat totals coming into this game, Harris had 135 rushing attempts, 692 yards. Then you look at Richard Medlin, who's received the bulk of the carries, but I'd still say not enough. He has 14 attempts, but I mean, for a guy that has the experience that he has, and a team that primarily runs the football, I expect them to lead the football on the ground. They haven't done that today.
High kick, Cherry waves for the fair catch and just lets it roll. And it will roll inside the 20, down at the 19-yard line. California in the lead here, 35-0 over the Fayetteville State Broncos, Mike, and it looks like they will advance on to the next round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. And for more information on that, go to www.calvulcans.com. Keep checking on that website periodically for updates as the Cal Vulcans continue their march in the NCAA Division II playoffs, along with other fall sports teams finishing up strong seasons such as volleyball and women's soccer, also in postseason play here in early November. And that Cal soccer team was victorious yesterday, Mike. First win in playoff history for the women's soccer team.
Getting a victory over Wesleyan, I believe. And so that's a good sign for the women's soccer team, which we saw this season. And they seem to be a team guided by young players, but with some good leadership. They have some good players.
Yeah, and that was enough to earn them a first-round playoff victory. Sean Johnson gets a rare non-goal line carry here and carries it for 5 yards. And now we're under 3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. California is finally taking their time in and out of the huddle and letting this play clock run down. And you wonder with Fayetteville punting away at this late in the game, down 35. Not that they've packed it in, but they realize where this game's headed as well, and they also want to get out of here. Portis passes it to A.J. Jackson there. And a gain of 21 on the play for California and a first down for the Vulcans on Jackson's 10th reception of the game. 8th, I'm sorry. Over 100 yards. That's where I'm thinking ones and zeros. But Jackson with that touchdown, he's averaging well over 13 yards a catch in this game, and he has been Portis' favorite target all season with good reason.
It's amazing to see, the type of receiver he can be down the field, short possession, takeover game, get a lot of catches, or he can have a handful of catches and still be that into the game. I mean, he's that dangerous of a player.
Portis sends it over the middle for Chet Welk. Wide open on his seam route. Had to have been a blown zone coverage right there because the tight end should never be that open. 15 yards deep down the field, and Welk reels it in, yaks a little bit afterwards.
Wide open. He knows that he stumbled because he wasn't expecting to be that wide open. And getting that ball right down the seams. You can see if you're going to leave him wide open, Josh Portis is going to give him the football.
Portis with a good delivery right there. And yeah, the tight end getting the ball in open space, and that's a good sign for these California tight ends. Like we talked about Blake Williamson earlier. Chet Welk only makes his 4th catch of the season on that play. It was only his 4th catch, and by far, outweighing the numbers he's put up, he's only had 12 yards receiving. As an end around to Terrence Moore inside the 10-yard line now, and he is brought down out of bounds by Jeff Gowdy. California, it's the first time today, Mike, that they have gone a few pages deep into the playbook.
Right, and then those are the type of plays that, you know, during this season that kind of made them staple and kind of had teams in their heels expecting Terrence Moore on the end arounds, A.J. Jackson on the end arounds, or Cherry on the end arounds, and then you got Terrence Moore coming out of the backfield, lining up in motion. Even had Terrence Moore in some instances throwing the football. So this is a team that has a lot of tricky plays in their repertoire, and they're not afraid to use them. And it definitely exposed this Fayettevill State defense.
High formation for the Vulcans, 45 seconds remaining in the 3rd. Play fake, Tobacco. Portis steps up into the pocket now, takes off towards the end zone, looking for the corner, and then stepping out of bounds at the 3 is Josh Portis. He's run out of bounds by Joseph Brown. That's Brown's 4th tackle of the day now. They give him credit for it. And it'll be 2nd down and goal from 3.
See that scamper to the outside, just picking up yardage. Not dipping his shoulder, getting hurt, breaking any ribs or anything like that. Getting to the outside and just pick some extra yardage up. Let time tick a little bit, and knowing that you have this victory. And again, California moving the ball down the field very methodical.
3-second differential between the play clock and the 3rd quarter clock. Handoff to Freddie Bacco into the end zone. Touchdown Vulcans. Freddie Bacco's 3rd rushing touchdown of the day puts California up over 40. It's 41-0 now, Vulcans leading the Broncos.
So a hat trick for Freddie Bacco, and I can tell you right now, I don't think he's ever entered the end zone without being touched this much today. I mean, on that run again right there, wide open, big gaps for him. The offensive line is doing a tremendous job of blocking today, and it shows it right there on that goal line run.
Yeah, Bacco's not a guy that usually gets in the end zone without picking up a bruise along the way.
Hey, he'll look for contact, but they're pretty lucky that they're right there at the goal line, or else he's hedge hunting.
Extra point up and good. It's 42-0. California leading the Broncos. Bacco's numbers on the day, Mike: 9 carries for 56 yards. 10 for 59 now, and 3 touchdowns. His average 5.9 yards. Brown and Bacco both averaging well over 5 yards a carry.
And I think that's been the key to today's game, keeping it on the ground. They have about 25 play calls, about a couple of design runs for Josh Portis, but they've been able to control the ball with the running game today, and that's key. That's something we didn't see last week, and something they've definitely adjusted on offense today.
Freddie got it started with this touchdown run, Mike. Just that pitch after the up give to Sean Johnson failed, and that got into the end zone. The next one, the second, his longest of the day, he does a great job of reading the defense. A play designed to go to the sidelines. Bacco makes a cut right here and sees that it's open if he stays up the middle, does so and scores. And this last one, another workman-like TD for Freddie Bacco. But you make the point, usually in tight like this, Freddie's going to see some contact on the way to the end zone. Not really the case. Yeah,
and again, he gets hit late there. He's already in the end zone. Freddie Bacco walking into the end zone. And a guy that lives off the contact, very determined. The best way to describe a guy that gets that extra yardage breaking tackles is a guy that's determined to get in the end zone. That's Freddie Bacco.
Here's Jeffrey Brooks going down the sideline, and Kevin Hagerman makes the tackle at the 50, sending him out of bounds. I like to see the kicker getting involved, making a play for your special teams. And in fact, Hagerman was probably the last, maybe second to last guy that could have made that play. That kickoff may have went all the way back. The return goes to just shy of midfield. It'll be the 49-yard line. 4 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter. Cal's defense coming onto the field for one more play. And Freddie Bacco, a guy at, I'd say revered here in California. A lot of people love the way he plays. A local product from Baldwin. Freddie Bacco, just that hard-nosed Western Pennsylvania type of football player that they love around here. Draw give to Richard Medlin. He has a lot of space up the middle. First down yardage for him, and that'll be the final play of the third quarter. But Medlin gains 16 for the Fayetteville State Broncos before being tackled by Eric Harris. We'll see if Fayetteville State can take this goose egg off the board. In pretty good position right now, but the Vulcans well in control. It's 42-0 after 3. Moving to the fourth on the other side of this commercial.
Not able to catch the Vulcan game this past week? Missed the latest edition of News Center? No problem. All CUTV broadcasts are now available for mail order. Whether you want CalU athletics, local high school football, CUTV News Center, or other great CUTV programming, wouldn't you like to see that? It is now all available. Pick up an order form from the CUTV truck at any local sporting event, or send your check for $16.95 made payable to SAI to the address shown on the screen.
42-0 the score here in California. You see a nice panning shot, a nice vista there of the outer reaches of the borough of California here, where California playing a first-round playoff game against the Fayetteville State Broncos in the NCAA Division II first round here. Fayetteville State in pretty good field position on the California 34 after a 16-yard run from Richard Medlin to expire the third quarter of play. Ben Williams in the shotgun with twin backs now. He's going to drop and pass. Fires one to the sideline, and that's a nice snag if the catch is made. And 1 foot was in play. That'll be enough. And that is a great grab by B.J. Washington, the junior wideout from Baltimore. Mike, that's a receiver snag right there.
That is a perfect play right on the sideline. You can see they're getting 1 foot in bound. That's all that matters in college football. And doing a great job of reaching out for the football, attacking the football up in the air, and getting that grab in.
Second down with 2 yards to go and a handoff up the middle. Will advance the chains for Fayetteville State. And you know what, Mike? This isn't the entire second string for California. There's still a few first stringers sprinkled in down there, and Fayetteville State is moving the ball on them. Steve Santia down on one of the tacklers on the line there.
Yeah, and I'm a team that, again, steamrolls some teams, and again, California not electing to have any of that today.
Another first down pickup right there. Williams delivery out.
Complete to number 82.
To number 82. Kendon Doe is actually the leading receiver for Fayetteville State heading into this game, and that will be his first reception of the day. And it's actually Doe's second reception now.
Kendon Doe, a guy at 39 receptions on the year, 569 yards. Not very active today.
That pass tipped. Incomplete, and that'll bring up a second down and 10 now. And Ben Williams has looked a little more comfortable in the second half throwing the ball, Mike, but all overshadowed by a very poor effort in the first half. And you can't really blame Williams for everything. His offensive line really didn't give him a lot of time or make him feel very comfortable back in that pocket.
I know, one of the things we're saying when he's not comfortable, it doesn't seem like he's comfortable yet. Mainly because of what he's doing, it's because he doesn't have the protection, or they're not giving him the plays for him to feel protected.
Williams pitches it into the end zone, and then Jameer Pugh drops the first points of the day for Fayetteville State. Mike, there was nobody near him. Hit him in the chest, and it fell incomplete.
Josh, that's a touchdown right there, and he just drops it. As you said, great pocket, great delivery of the football, and he just drops it right through his hands. Right over the zone. California's defensive backs back there. They're not playing back into the end zone, so he just goes right over top of him and unable to catch it. I mean, it's that simple. You got to bring that in.
If I can give Pugh any credit, it's that he's a quarterback playing wide receiver position. Obviously a converted quarterback and receiver, the freshman here. And there's a pass from Williams, complete for a touchdown. That's B.J. Washington, and Fayetteville State has taken the goose egg off of the board. A little morale boost for the Broncos there, and Washington able to bring it in. And Fayetteville State now sees that deficit cut back to 5 touchdowns.
And that's an offensive drive for them that they can be happy about. Now they're able to put some plays together, string some nice runs, along with some good passes down the field. And that drive, Williams looked to be very much in control of the offense, mainly because he had time to throw the football.
Extra point is up and good, 42-7. With 13:54 remaining in the fourth quarter, California firmly in control. We'll be back after these messages.
Hello, this is Doug Smith.
Hey man, what's happening?
Nothing.
Hey Gary, who are you on the phone with?
Go pick up the phone.
You are watching CUTV, California University Television.
Got a shout out to Doug Smith you saw in that first commercial on the reel here. Apparently watching from Williamton, North Carolina right now. He is Lay Doug, as you heard in that commercial. And special hello to him if he is indeed tuned in right now on the B2 network. And it was a Fayetteville State pass from Williams to B.J. Washington that gets them on the board, making this game 42-7. And California receiving the kick now, fielded by Ched Cherry, taken out to the 34-yard line. One more look at the pass from Williams to Washington, Mike, and I mean, it was a pretty good delivery. If Williams was passing with this kind of confidence all day, there may be a few more numbers up on the board for Fayetteville State.
Quick step drop, just delivered the football in that slant route, perfect position. Gave him a little bit of a cushion, but not too much. Delivering that football, and you're right. They put string together plays and drives like that this entire game. We might have a little bit of a different feeling for this game right now, but ultimately it comes down to it. California playing a little bit back on that one, and I'm pretty sure they gave up a touchdown, so they're not going to play that off the next drive.
We're going to open up the depth charts now for California as they've gone to the second string. Ryan Morris going to be your quarterback, and that pass looking for Tony Battaglini.
Complete
falls.
to number 84.
I was going to say incomplete, but Battaglini able to get his arms under that one and prevent it from being trapped. And
in a quarterback
it'll
for
be a
number 14, Ryan
6-yard
Morris.
completion and 2nd and 4 now. Morris to Battaglini. Battaglini, much like Jameer Pugh on the other side of the ball for Fayetteville State, a converted
6-yard
quarterback.
gain on the play,
He was the
second down and
3rd-string
4.
quarterback on this team last year, now playing wide out, also the holder on field goals. And he gets a reception right there. And I'm going to look at the numbers, but I could tell you with 95% certainty that's his first catch of the year.
I believe it with 100% certainty. I don't think he's seen much of the field this year, but coming in, making that grab, that was a very tough grab, able to do so.
Cody Wilson going to be the ball carrier, the Yock product.
On the
Transfer from the Citadel, and he'll gain 2 yards right there. It will be 3rd down and 2 from the 42.5-yard line for California. 12:45 to play in the fourth.
Johnson, number 90.
Cody Wilson doing some high stepping in
On the Bronco
the backfield there before he could get to the line of scrimmage. And Cody Wilson, a guy that was a big part of this run game too. At the fullback position, also in the latter portion in the middle of the season, he started to see some extensive time at the running back position. So coming in, learning now the running back position, kind of getting adapted to that. He's a big guy, but he showed some skills with the football in his hands.
Morris dropping the pass, and he's going to be sacked. Broncos bring some good pressure right there. Morris only on a 3-step drop, and the offensive line collapses around him. And looking like he's at fault there is number 75, Matt Scheuer, comes out with his head hung. And Morris will go back to the sideline. No, he's staying out there. It's 4th down and 6, and this is bizarre if California's considering going for this. And now it looks like they'll change personnel. They're just going to call a timeout after the play clock runs down. I was shaking my head there for a second, Mike.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to go for it on 4th and 6. Not only that, from you know, their own 37-yard line with a 42-7 lead. No need to go for it there, unless you want to just have these guys get some experience.
Yeah. So they will take the timeout right there, and we do have a score update for you. To our last knowledge, Edinburgh had scored again and made it 24-13 over East Stroudsburg. So Edinburgh putting themselves in good position late in the third quarter in that contest, and if that shakes out, it'll be Edinburgh taking on West Liberty next week, and in my opinion, something that would be a toss-up game. Might be able to throw that bracket up there one more time and take a look at it. It'd be Borough and West Lib, and then California will be playing Shippensburg next week back out in Seth Grove Stadium. That's another one that in my opinion, would be a toss-up. You know, Ship will be the favorite, not only ranking-wise, but based on the last contest. But California started to figure things out in that fourth quarter. It could be a different story, Mike. Right now, I could not give you an accurate prediction as to who I think will be competing in the regional final.
I can't either. I think it could go 4 different ways, and that's intriguing. That's different than we've seen recently. But again, the matchup that's most intriguing to me would be Shippensburg, California. How is Shippensburg able to have that now being king of the mountaintop mentality? Will they be able to abide by that? You know, being able to play at home and play up the standards we expect and see from them. On the other hand of that, California has a bad taste in their mouth from that game. They're taking it out on Fayettevill State right now, but they're really kind of saving it for Shippensburg.
There's the punt. Fiorenza's punt doesn't take a great bounce, but Wilson's right there to down it. Shy of the 35-yard line. Now the Cal defense comes back onto the field. Fayetteville looking to answer their last score with another. But back to the Super Region 1 discussion, Mike. You know, I can't say that I would be able to predict who's going to be playing in the regional final, but I can tell you with a good deal of certainty that the winner of the Cal Ship game will be the representative from Super Region 1. I'd assume that those are the 2 best teams in this region. West Liberty shouldn't be discounted. Yes, they're ranked high in the AFCA poll, but the WVIAC is a notably weaker conference than the PSAC. A lot will be told by next week's game, whether West Lib's playing East Stroudsburg or Edinburgh. Handoff to Richard Medlin right there. He is stopped by Ryan Keebler at the line of scrimmage. And this clock will move under 11 minutes by the time the next play starts.
And if Edinburgh is able to hold off East Stroudsburg, then they move on. Then again, their team, and now is put in a position where they'd get a lot of looks to beat West Liberty if they were to do so. If you were just to look blindly at that game, West Liberty versus Edinburgh, you would expect to see just by the numbers themselves, West Liberty being ranked higher, they should win. But again, Edinburgh through the season has been more productive offensively and defensively.
Scramble right there by Benjamin Williams. He's run out of bounds by Brandon Livesey. And it'll be 3rd down and 10. I thought Williams picked up a few there, Mike, but apparently only got back to the line of scrimmage.
It looked like from the backwards angle, he's coming back, and then he has to swoop back up. It looks like he's picking up some positive yards, but just gets right back to the line of scrimmage on that play. No harm, no foul on that one. And again, 3rd downs are important again. California, though, getting a little late to get to the positions.
Yeah, nearly caught with too many men on the field, and this ball is intercepted. That one is by Sean Anderson, Brandon's brother. The D-back from Penn Hill steps ahead of that pass, and again, a soft delivery from Williams allows Anderson to break on it and come away with the ball for the 2nd pick of the day for this Cal defense.
That's just an easy pass right there to read. Sean Anderson does a great job of. Sean Anderson's been laying the wood a couple of the games. He's a big, heavy hitter. And on that play, he shows good defense, reading the passing tree, reading where the quarterback's eyes are, picks that play. That's the 2nd time we've seen the receivers kind of get lazy in their routes on that one. That was just an identical of the first interception thrown by Brandon Williams.
Hand off to Cody Wilson, and he is nudged to the turf.
Number 35, Wilson.
By number 90, Diamond Johnson, senior defensive tackle from Phoenix, another Arizona player on this Fayetteville team. Is 2nd down and 12 now. California will let some clock wind down and then likely put the ball on the ground again, though. But in these relief efforts, they do let Ryan Morse drop to throw from time to time. And in what we've seen, he does have a good arm.
He does, and I think Ryan Morse is a good quarterback. He's been
Second and
and the
12
know-how for a
Cal
while, here. So he definitely knows offense. And if anything bad were to happen, let's say to Josh Portis, I think Ryan Morris would be more than capable of filling in the shoes.
Number 35,
Cody Wilson takes another run right
On the
there.
carry.
John Hicks will bump him out of bounds. And Wilson carries it
Tackled by
to the
number 20, John
33.
Hicks.
Gain of 11 on the play. It'll be 3rd and 1 for the Vulcans. You'd imagine another ground effort right here from Cody Wilson should be enough for the first. But if we can assume that, I guess Fayetteville can as well. We'll see what California likes to do play call-wise.
Gain of 11, third
But
down
Cody
and
Wilson,
1.
speaking of guys
At the
coming in
Broncos,
relief,
33.
talked about the double duo of Brown and Bacco, and then Morris perhaps capable if Portis were to go down. But Cody Wilson could pick up the slack if Brown or Bacco were to be hurt, and that was the case all this year when Brown was down. Wilson did have a nice effort in relief of Wendell Brown. He'll take a pitch right here, and he does not get around the corner. He is stopped behind the line of scrimmage by Daniel Harlan and Aaron Patterson. And it'll be 4th down and 3, and now California may actually have a legitimate argument for going for it in Fayetteville territory.
Well, Patterson does a good job of just shredding his blockers and getting to the football, but the corner comes up, makes a good tackle. Now you need your blockers on the outside to do a better job than what they did, but this again is an interesting territory, and I would expect them to go for it here on 4th down. I don't know, a lot of people don't agree with me here, but when you are in these situations, I think going forward is the key. Even if they would have even better field position, I think you kick the field goal in this situation, you just kind of run up the score.
Ryan Morris just rolls out, keeps
Morris
it,
on the keeper.
goes out of bounds, and he has a 1st down, and I think this is a good call coming in here from the sideline. He was shoved down well out of play, and that will be a late hit against Fayetteville State. Something we saw a lot in the Ship Cow game last week.
You know what, Ryan Morris is a guy with wheels. You see, the fake was perfect. The block is even better on the outside there. That's number 23, Dane Conwell on the block there. And you could see they're a late hit, frustrated, whatever it is. It's uncalled for, and it's going to be at 15
After the
extra
play,
yards.
personal foul, defense. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
That's going to give California an extra almost 16 yards as the ball was on the 32. Half the distance on that penalty, and that will put the Vulcans down on the 14 and a half. It'll be 1st and 10. Clock at 7:55 and running. And the Vulcans just looking to extend that lead. Mike, you said that some people would disagree with you to run up the score here in this game. Yeah, I wouldn't call it running it up, but continue to pour it on. Yeah, it's yes and no. In the regular season, yes, it definitely helps the rankings. At this time, it more or less just sends a message to the rest of the playoffs that you're not messing around. Pass for Battaglini in the back of the end zone was a real good throw from Ryan Morris. Battaglini just not quite as athletic as, say, an A.J. Jackson, and Jeff Gowdy, the safety, makes a nice play to get a hand on that and make it hard for Battaglini to make the catch.
And that throw right there is just an example of the arm that Morrison has. So delivers that football in the back of the end zone, put a lot on it, and you got a 2nd down now. Again, kind of try and work some different things with the different personnel you have out on the field. And so the starters get some time off and get the breather and laugh and enjoy, the lead here. But again, the coaching staff and these players on the field now are got to continue to go and kind of preserve this victory.
And the clock will continue to wind. They reset the play clock for some reason and froze the game clock, so I think they're just trying to get both of those in sync now. I formation for California. And it is Dane Conwell ahead of Cody Wilson. Handoff to Wilson. Keeps it up the middle. Solid
Wilson
gain right there before
on
being
the carry.
tackled by Jeremy Cunningham. And looked like Dan's hands were a
Number
little
33,
high
A little high
by
on
Jeremy
him, yeah.
Cunningham. I heard the call coming from the coach's box next door, and I'd have to agree that that could have gone as a face mask, but the referees look on, and it'll be 3rd down and 6.
It's an obvious face mask on that replay we saw there. And you get to look at that, but again, physical running game is very key. I think that when you have that power run game, it's a different element than a lot of these teams can look at. I don't think Fayetteville State's used to seeing a power run game, but California is, and that's something they've implemented for a while. That I formation, definitely new here. I mean, it took them a while to get used to it.
On the play.
Penalty there, and definitely moved California back.
Yeah, lots of motion, and that's Matt Scheuer Hasn't
Prior
had
to
the
the
best of
stats, false start, 23 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, previous spot, still third down.
Now they're going to say it was Dane Conwell. I thought it was Matt Scheuer. I saw him move on the line, but perhaps Conwell flinched first behind Scheuer. And that backs California up into a 3rd down and 10 now with 6:40 to play here in the 4th quarter. And most likely they'll go to the air here on 3rd down now.
Deliver this football downfield. And again, the depth at the running back position. You told just named the name of Dane Conwell, a guy that got some looks early on in the season, playing running back, kind of in there a fullback now. Just getting different looks with different players.
Morris will be throwing, steps up into the pocket, releases the ball, and this one is knocked away. Intended for Chet Welk, the defensive play made by Adrian Horton. Not Chet Welk, it's another 90s receiving target, Richard Everline. You don't see too many 90s receivers, so I see the 9 and assume it's Welk. It's Everline, it's incomplete. It's 4th down and 11 for California. A good defensive play by Adrian Horton.
Good coverage there. Good coverage, using that left hand to kind of hold back on the back of every line, and then use that opposite hand and bat that football down. Incomplete pass, and now, Fayettevill State can get a stop here. They're also sending a message that, again, 4th quarter is very important to them. They may be down big time in this game, but they're not quitting in the least bit in this football game. If they're able to get a stop, wow, how good the defense should feel about that.
They were going to go for it here on 4th down, and whistle's blown, flag is down.
Prior snap, delay a game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
It's a delay of game. It'll push California back 5 more yards. They'll be at the 19 now. Mike, at this point, it looks like the offense is going to stay on the field and go for it, but I say why not let Hagerman come in and have a go at it?
Yeah, and I think it's this is kind of what I was alluding to. You don't want to show bad sportsmanship and kicking the field goal and essentially just running up the score. You're giving the defense an opportunity to get a stop here. I definitely agree with this call. You're up 42-6. You put Hagerman out there, kick the field goal. You're not really giving them too big of a shot to stop you. So I agree with the call, and I agree it's pretty good sportsmanship with a team with a 42-7 lead.
A.J. Jackson's in the slot now, and Ryan Morris is going to fumble it. So there it is. Defense does make a play. Morris fumbles. Jeremy Cunningham recovers. And
recovered by number
Fayetteville State Broncos have 6
Cunningham.
minutes and 9 seconds to maybe put a few more points on the board. And, I don't know if you've noticed, Mike, but on the far sidelines, the Bronco and, yes, the Bronquette are very happy. 2 mascots for the Fayetteville State Broncos.
I think that's pretty creative. You got Bronco and Bronquette. Maybe they got married at Fayetteville State and they decided to stay there and travel with the team now. I don't know which one's a male or female, though.
One of them has a skirt on. That's the one I'm going to go with. Williams throws it out to the far sideline, completes it to B.J. Washington, the man he hooked up with for the touchdown earlier. And he is tripped up by Joe Martin. It'll be 2nd down and 5 now.
Also number 13, Joe Martin.
2nd down and 4, actually. They gave him 6.
2nd down and 3.
And for some reason, the PA announcer just said 4-yard gain, 2nd down and 3. I'm not sure how that makes sense. Wide receiver screen intended for Sidney McCletty.
For number 18, Sidney McCletty.
And that was barely a forward pass, but it indeed was, and it is tipped to the ground.
And they have a lot of different formations that we've seen today. They got that. They spread them out here, 5 wide receivers. They're obviously in passing downs, but again, it just doesn't seem like it's getting too much of a rhythm here. Every pass seems to be off by a hair or two.
Pass incomplete.
Screen pass by Williams intended for Jameer Pugh. Short-armed and incomplete. It's going to be 4th and 3 now. No personnel changes on either side. Fayetteville State could go for it or punt. Either way here would be the proper etiquette, I'd say. And they're going to make it 5 wide and attempt to go for it here on 4th down. And
4th down for Fayetteville
3.
State.
Williams has some time, sends it over the middle, completes it to Kendon Doe. Doe's 3rd catch of the day. Good for a gain of 11 and a first.
Man, that's a great pass. Great job of staying in that pocket. He has time, and that's the key. A little bit of a pass rush on the outside there, but he stays patient. Still not the best looking throws I've seen out of the quarterback position, but he got it there.
Slung over the middle, and another completion to Kendon Doe. Williams with a nice toss right there. Some sort of fake. Mike, I thought it was coming towards the near sideline here where he had Barry Dunn wide open, but stayed over the middle with it and picks up a pretty big gain. Another first down for the Broncos.
He took so much off of that. Yeah, I agree. I looked at the throw, and I'm looking at the receiver on the near side, the receiver on the outside, and saying that's definitely going to him. And he took the guy in the seam and got a big chunk of yardage on that.
Williams rolling out and tosses it away again. He was being chased towards the sideline by Steve Santia, as well as Marcus Cook.
Division II playoff scores.
You take a look at this game thus far, Mike, and
24, East Stroudsburg 13.
Listen for the score update right there. Still 24-13. All right, what I was going to say was, you look at this game, and this is the second string for California, pretty much on par with the first string for a conference champion team, Fayettevill State Broncos. So that shows how deep this Vulcan roster is.
Right, and I agree that this is the best team in the PSAC West, and probably the most competitive team in the PSAC altogether. I mean, a team that can go and play any team out of any region and give you the most competitive matchup. We've seen that when they played Westchester, Bloomsburg, Shippensburg this year. So they're very competitive, and I think in those instances you had those teams looking at California like Big Daddy and looking at them and saying, we have to play our best games. And usually the two times they lost this year, it was because those teams played at an extraordinary level.
Williams toss over the middle to Kendon Doe there is complete for a first down. Matt McClellan could have made this tackle, Mike, and that would have prevented the first. But he is shrugged off on a spin move from Kendon Doe.
That's a nice play there by Kendon Doe. Kendon Doe, again, a guy, their leading receiver on the year. Got off to a slow start here, but definitely picked it up. 5 catches on this game.
Williams dropping, looking to the end zone. A little bit of space for Jameer Pugh there, but it falls incomplete. Williams throw a little bit too far to the right and out of play. 4:10 remaining in this game, and it'll be 2nd and 10 for Fayetteville.
And if you look at that play again, just throwing it out of bounds, no one's going to get to it. Ben Williams, again, has definitely looked a lot better the second half. I don't know, at least in this fourth quarter at least. I don't know if it's so much the defense is kind of playing preventative game, but it just looked a lot better.
Williams scrambles and goes into the end zone for the Bronco touchdown. Sean Anderson tried to lay a big hit on him at the goal line, like you said Sean Anderson can do, Mike, but instead Williams ducks under him, and Anderson ends up getting more of his own player. And the Broncos put up their second TD of the day with just over 4 minutes to play.
To attempt the extra
42-13.
And that scamper showing the athleticism, run up the middle, and determined to get in the end zone was Williams. He does so and gives them another touchdown, so 2 consecutive scoring drives for them.
Extra point is blocked
by
number 54 for California, Sean Patil. So it's 42-13, California leading over the Broncos with 4 minutes to play in the first round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. We'll be back for the finish of this one right here on CUTV.
We know you want family-friendly sporting events.
Sporting events where you can be comfortable
and entertained in a positive environment. Watching great individuals and teams compete.
With commitment, effort, and good sportsmanship. That's what the Division II Game Environment Initiative is about.
Be a part of the excitement and find out why. These student athletes say with pride,
I chose.
I chose.
I chose Division II.
Welcome back to CUTV Sports and the B2 Network if you're watching online. And there's a look at the Fayettevill State Band and their team giving them a little bit to cheer about here late in the fourth quarter. And Mike and I like to welcome you back. And we were talking about during the break about how at least the cheerleaders and band have remained into it for the duration of this game. An onside kick from Fayetteville right there. And it appears the Broncos will not get it. California was not lined up. We're not prepared for that onside kick, but Brandon Livesey falls on it for the Vulcans. They will get possession back, but the Bronco, the Bronquette, the cheerleaders, the band, and a pretty good arrangement of fans on the far sidelines for Fayetteville State, and an unfortunately long trek for them to come up here and watch their team play in a game, well, that wasn't very close for the most part.
And I will say this, that this team has a lot to grow on and possibly win the conference again next year. It all depends on what they do, you know, with their offense, play calling. It needs to get better. But this team, again, has a lot to grow for, and it's been good for the university to kind of grow a little bit. And historically, they've had a lot of good showings.
Morris rolls out, throws it to Josh Gumbert. Gumbert reels it in at the 36-yard line, and with that, he will gain 6 yards, 7 yards. It'll be second down and 3. Nice toss from Morris, and Gumbert was wide open.
Gumbert was wide open. A guy, again, a big part of the offense last year. This year is taking a kind of a secondary role, but picking up, learning. He's not, you know, guy that frowns about it too much and comes in, does his job on special teams. Again, he's gotten a lot better at punt returning, and that's something, you know, just got to grow with your role, and he's done that.
I formation for California. Fayetteville showing blitz from the far side. Snap is bobbled. Morris brings it up and just falls forward. And as much as it's a bad play, a broken play, it's a heads-up play on behalf of Morris, realizing the situation of the game. It's second and short, falling forward, keeps it third and short, and this is still a manageable conversion for California.
A very heady quarterback, and that's what you want, your backup quarterback, a guy that has to know, have that football savvy mentality. He has to be very smooth, and he was on that play. Like you just said, I know he's going to have a third and short, picking it up, just falling down, and keeping this team in this drive.
Third down and 2 for the Vulcans.
3rd and 2. Pitch back to Cody Wilson, has the first down. Cunningham, another tackle for Fayetteville State. And the Vulcans move the chains with 2.5 minutes to play here at Hepner Bailey Field at Adamson Stadium in the first round of the D2 playoffs. And looks like California is set to advance to the next round. It also looks like Edinburgh is looking to be in good position to advance to the second round to take on West Liberty. So the Vulcans and the Fighting Scots both likely on the road next week playing in the second round. I formation. Hand off to Wilson. Wrapped up and brought down from behind by Daniel Harlan. No gain on the play right there. Cody Wilson, he's like,
95, Daniel Harlan.
It's like feast or famine for him with the carries he's had in this game, Mike. They've either gone for 6 or more or a loss.
Man, a loss, and he'll get swung down here on this play. And you're right, he usually get exactly. It's either a big play for him or he gets nothing at all, and that's just the lifestyle of a power back.
Yeah, and that's that pretty much explains his numbers. Six runs for 20 yards and an average of about 3. So the losses and the big gainers just about canceling one another out for a solid average. 3 yards. A little play fake here, and Morse is going to pass. Sends it over the middle looking for Battaglini. And the pass is tipped away by John Hicks, the junior corner from Wilmington, North Carolina. And it'll be 3rd down and 12 now.
Number 20, John Hicks on the coverage.
And California faces another long conversion with 1:25 remaining.
See that slant route thrown a little low, trying to slice between the defenders. Ball's on the ground, and the team really hasn't gone into cruise control quite yet. I mean, and the backups are in there, but they're staying aggressive in their play calling. And this is like an experiment time too. You can try some different things to see, what could work, what could possibly work.
Third down.
I'm trying to compare that to what you can see on the practice field.
Another pitch to Cody Wilson, and there's a famine run for Cody Wilson. Stopped in the backfield again. This time, it's Marcus Esquivel coming up to make the play, and it'll be 4th down and 12. Wilson can't find any space on the outside. A.J. Jackson trots back out into the huddle for the Vulcans. Morris getting the play from the sideline. Jackson, I assume, in this situation is going to be out there as a decoy, Mike.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with him. unless they want to get AJ one more catch or whatnot. And 8 catches, 111 yards today.
Which is almost petty numbers for him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's used to a lot more. This is a guy that could easily had 10, 11 catches today.
Morris will be passing. Steps up into the pocket, keeps it.
Morris.
And the defense makes the play. Danielle Harlan comes up. And not sure if that'll go for a sack or not. I think Morris got across the line of scrimmage. Jackson and Gumbert were both open down the near sideline. Now the Cal defense comes back onto the field. If Fayetteville State elects to, they have 34.8 seconds to work with, or they can kneel the ball down and end this contest. We'll see which they choose. Coach Kenny Phillips for Fayetteville State will see his 3rd playoff appearance end in defeat, as the first 2 did. And unfortunately for him, the Broncos couldn't keep themselves in it through 4 quarters of play like they have been aiming to do all season. Williams hands it off to Richard Medlin. Medlin breaks a tackle and crosses midfield, and a shoestring stomp made by Brandon Livesey. And with 30 seconds left,
Trey Allen on the stop. First down.
Broncos show no signs of huddling up here.
And you can pretty much sure you get your bus tickets to Shippensburg now. And again, that's going to be a classic rematch between these 2 teams. Both teams have a lot to show, and I'm expecting it to be an all-out war between both those teams.
Medlin with another carry right there. And he'll be wrapped up by Sean Patil, freshman from McKeesport, who had the blocked PAT earlier. And now the coaches come onto the field from both sides, and that is going to do it here from Hepner Bailey Field at Adamson Stadium, California, with a convincing 42-13 victory. Mike, final words here from Adamson Stadium.
And again, California showing that they're able to regroup. This is a championship level team, and they showed us here today. They'll move on again in this region again. They'll look to avenge their loss last week in that PSAC championship game against Shippensburg, and that's going to be a classic matchup again. They seem to have leadership back at a high level for them, and again, looking at that right there, California, Shippensburg, that's going to be a huge test. Again, Edinboro will look to move on, and I expect them to against West Liberty, but it's just another test for them. Can they get everything going for them? Can they have everything kind of gel together against Shippensburg, make up for those mistakes they made in that game? They showed a lot of promise in that 4th quarter. Can they put it together? It's the only question.
And Edinboro looks like they will advance to play West Liberty. That's not a final yet, but you can check out CalVulcans.com or Division II website to find out the final results from that game. California does advance as the 3 seed. They take care of business today, downing the 6 Fayetteville State Broncos. Vulcans move past the NCAA D2 first round of the playoffs for the 3rd straight season with their 42-13 win. For Mike Ford, my name is Josh Eachus. We'll see you next time right here on CUTV.